Welcome to Minnesota, where every moment is an adventure. From the tranquil natural beauty of our waters to the rich culture of our cities, Minnesota is where unforgettable memories are made.
Go inside now! Get in the house!
Step into friendly neighborhoods that make you feel right at home the moment you arrive. Stroll through vibrant streets, soak in the energy of our dynamic nightlife, or indulge in a shopping spree at one of our world-class boutiques. And behind it all is strong leadership and inclusive policies that create a place where everyone can thrive. Minnesota, we're ready to be your next adventure.
Everybody, welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. Hope your weekend went swimmingly well. No, it was pretty quiet. All in all, pretty quiet. I'm trying to remember. Pretty quiet. For most of us, most of y'all, it was a holiday weekend. Maybe you got some extended time with your family. Maybe that's a great thing. Maybe that's just an okay kind of thing. I hope it went phenomenally well for you, and certainly that it went better than it went for Tim Walz. This has been a really difficult time for Tim Walz. A very difficult time for Tim Walz. There's a lot. I mean, a lot. Everything, everywhere I go, all I see on social media now is just this Minnesota fraud thing. I would cover something else, but there's literally nothing else in the news that's burgeoning this way. I could have talked to you about Alex Jones going hard after Candace Owens. I thought about that. I still might do that. I'm really not. I thought his attack on her would be more more devastating. I look at both sides in the Candace Owens Alex Jones story and sort of shake my head. Like I feel like I'm the old man at the top of the hill, just looking down and just being like, no, none of this is good. None of what I'm seeing here is compelling. I'm not seeing anything remotely compelling. I see Candace being like Candace, and I see Alex Jones being Alex Jones, and the feud there has been exploding between them. And I really thought about going through Alex Jones' half-hour attack that he made against her over this holiday weekend, which I went through and I watched, and I was like, okay. And then I see what Candace Owens has, and I'm like, this is just stupid nothingness that you have that you're just sort of screaming about. And I see people I like and respect making it as if, aha, oh my God, the proof is here, when there's like nothing, like literally nothing. And it's just, it feels as if people have a predisposition as to where they want to fall on this story, and whatever straws they can grasp at to help confirm that predisposition is where they're going to go. And that's what it feels like to me. Like the ones who are predisposed towards believing whatever idiocy Candace is throwing out are all predisposed in that direction. And I think that the level of takedown of Candace Owens, it seems like it's more a collateral type of attack than a direct explosion on anything she said. Other than, I mean, the biggest proof against her is really her own words and how many times she's conflicted herself and changed her story. I did see a 4-minute clip showing all the like, well, I don't know if it's all, but just like one time after another of her obviously gaslighting, saying, I never said this, and then a clip of her saying that exact thing that she just said she didn't say. So yeah, she's full of crap, obviously, and she's grifting. But I just sort of felt like Alex Jones' attack on her was more on a collateral type of basis. But anyway, if you want me to get into that, if someone really is interested in getting me to get into that, I can do that. There is a goal up there to have a 3-hour show tonight, if in fact we hit our goal, which is our standard usual goal of 15 super chats or rants of $10 or more. We hit that goal. Boom. I'm going to be going for 3 hours tonight. And if we go for 3 hours, I'm not promising, I'll likely get a little bit more into that story. I'm not sure. It depends. It depends because there's so much here. What Nick Shirley, young investigative reporter Nick Shirley, has done is he has brought down a whirlwind in ways that few reporters ever have. I am in arguably in history, but certainly in the last 20 years, where you look at the ramifications of what his reporting did, his eyes on the ground, his boots on the ground work in investigative reporting going around Minnesota. And that's what, in case you're unfamiliar with this story, Nick Shirley is a young reporter who basically started going from one daycare center to another that was listed as being on the state's dime. Each of them getting 7 figures or more, seemingly, and their businesses being shuttered during normal business hours. There's no one there. And that he supposedly, I mean, the only thing left to verify is what time he went to these places. Like, was it really, but look, let's face it, it's daylight hours. Unless he's lying and went there on a Saturday or a Sunday when they don't have regular hours. But assuming he went there during the weekday, in Minnesota, if it's daylight hours in the winter, that's business hours. That's business hours. That has to be business hours. I don't know what time he's there, but the sunrise doesn't happen till like 8 o'clock in the morning. And for a daycare center, you have to be open at 8 because parents drop off kids at 8 o'clock. You have to be open at 8. And it closes at, it's not going to close before 5. Right. And it gets dark. It's dark from basically 4 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next day. So any daylight hours is business hours, assuming it's not a weekend. So there's a lot there so what he ended up uncovering, and we're going to be going through his video. I don't know if we're going to go through the entire 42 minutes that he did. Maybe we'll do like a little fast speed because it probably starts getting repetitive. I haven't even gone through it. I've seen a couple of minutes of it and various clips of it, but I haven't gone through the entire 42 minutes. So I could be doing that with you directly. And I have that queued up as one of the first tabs here. If you want to see how many tabs I got on this story, just on this one story, okay? Because there's so many different things, how the left is looking at it, different funny memes that are coming out about it, Tim Walz's response, Jessica Tarloff, different people coming out, attacks on or threats to Nick Shirley. I mean, all sorts of craziness going on because of this bombshell story that Nick Shirley brought to the world. So God bless this young man. God bless his in-depth reporting and the amazing work that he did in going out there and the intuition he had to actually start trying to do this. And yeah, there's a lot here to cover because the federal government's starting to get involved. Tim Walz the repercussions for Tim Walz seem like they could be career ending. We'll see what ends up happening, but there's all sorts of talk about this being career ending for him and attempts to actually end his career because of the blatant fraud. And I'm going to look at it and help you see just how blatant this had to have been. Like just how utterly incompetent the state of Minnesota has been. Knowing that they had a problem and still showing blatant incompetence, blatant willful negligence as to what exactly is going on with their whole child care program. So with that, I'm gonna get started on this. We got Nano says, Joe, did you say I have 2 weddings this week? I did say I have 2 weddings this week. My first wedding is tomorrow evening. I'm planning and hoping to do a show before I go to that wedding. That is Ron Coleman's wedding. Or it's not his wedding, it's his son's wedding. So I'm planning on going. I'm planning on doing a show and then going. So it'd be an early show tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing normally on December, on December 31st, and now tomorrow is December 30th. Tomorrow is Ron Coleman's wedding, which I definitely plan on attending. I'm very much looking forward to that and celebrating that. It's a big deal, especially when it's your last kid getting married. But even any child getting married is a big deal, and I consider him a very good friend, a very close friend. So yeah, I'm definitely. And as it happens, his son is marrying a girl whose parents I'm friendly with, from a completely different. Like they didn't complete like. I've been spending. I know him for that guy for like 25 years, so I know both sides in that one. So I really plan on being there. But I'm hoping to do a show beforehand tomorrow evening. So tomorrow's show probably will be, maybe a little bit early. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Robert Gouvet. I'm gonna try and get that show out as early as possible. The night after that, my niece is getting married, and that one's gonna that one I'm going with my whole family, and that's gonna be a much more extensive thing. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do a show on the 31st. That's on Wednesday the 31st. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a show, but you'll find out if you sign up at goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com, where I'll certainly keep you apprised as to what my schedule is. But yeah, those are the two weddings I have this week. Liz is going nuts. Liz is going nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're funny. You're funny. There's another. I'm going through the Liz ones first. This is paying me to not cover Candace. Fumafu, hit me with the 20. God bless you. Thank you, Fumafu. And then I had old school saying, I knew Tim Walz was incompetent, dumb, but didn't think he was this corrupt. Destiny is losing it trying to defend Tim. Is he? It's like, okay, this is lefties. I need to explain something. I want to give you advice because I don't know how many lefties are going to be watching this show. Okay, I'm going to give you, in case you don't know this, which many of you probably know what I'm about to say, but some of you don't. So we'll see which camp you're in. Only you will know by the time we're done which camp you were in, whether you were in the I know this or not. I believe the year is, I think it's January 1991. Let me check. I'm going to verify this before I go further. Like my gut says. I'll tell you the exact date I learned this lesson. That can't be right. Nope, I was wrong. It was January 26, 1992 that I learned this lesson. So I was 21 years old when I learned this lesson. Okay? January 26, 1992. And that year, I went to my friend's house, whose house I've been going to for the Super Bowl virtually every year going back to like 1990. My friend Dave, who is a very diehard Giant fan. I grew up as a Jet fan, and when the Jets moved to the Meadowlands, I became a Cowboy fan, which means that I pretty much hated the Giants more than any other team on planet Earth. Whether you're a Jet fan or a Cowboy fan, you're not a fan of the Giants. And especially because there's so many Giant fans around. You can't stand it. So it's 21 years old. And I'm going to the Super Bowl at my friend's Dave's house because he always had a big screen TV. So I go to his house, and he always would have a nice big Super Bowl party. And the party is filled like 2/3 with Giant fans. In that Super Bowl, the Giants are playing the heavily favored Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas-led Buffalo Bills. The Bills offense, if you're unfamiliar with NFL history, that year was a juggernaut. Thurman Thomas was just steamrolling through teams. Jim Kelly would just be tossing the ball all over the place. They had their 2-minute offense on the field all the time, and they just would blitz teams with their offense. That was basically unstoppable. Andre Reed, I think, was the main receiver on the team. The Giants were led by wait, what is it? Hold on a second. I want to make sure I got the date right, because I think I actually. It was 1991. It was January 27, 1991. Yeah. The Giants were led by a journeyman quarterback filling in for Phil Simms by the name of Jeff Hostetler. And what the Giants did very wisely, I think Bill Parcells was still their coach at that point, was that they basically ran the ball all day. And they said, we're going to keep the ball from Jim Kelly. Bottom line is this. In the waning seconds of the game, Buffalo Bills come on the field to kick a game-winning field goal, like a 41-yarder. Scott Norwood got it lined up there, who was a pretty good kicker. Lined up there, and I think it was Wide Right, as the clock wound down. Giants end up winning the game 2019. Giant fans are crowing all over me. And I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I said in that instant, but I was burning, like furious. I remember feeling that, just like, ugh. And they're crowing in my face. And I made some sort of snarky comment, probably a stupid comment. And my friend Dave was very insightful. It was a very insightful man. Dave and I always liked about each other is that we could understand situations. He said to me, Joe, sometimes we all hate to do it. Sometimes you just have to eat the loss. You just eat it. And you're like, it sucks. No one wants to eat it. No one wants to go down that road. Everyone hates being in that position. But sometimes you just need to learn to eat the loss. If you're sitting on the left today, I'm telling you right now, when it comes to this whole daycare scandal coming out of Minnesota and the Tim Walz debacle, if they had any sense at all, the left would just eat the loss. Because when you sit there so afraid of ever just saying, you know what, that was screwed up. That's what you do. You come out of this, that was a screwed up thing. You actually gain strength from that. You actually grow inside as a person. You actually leads to personal growth. And it also, you develop, people have so much more respect for you. So much more respect that you actually can be like, you know what? This was an embarrassing foul up. This was humiliating. This is inexcusable. And sitting there worrying, like, what's this going to do to the Somalian community? Look, you know what? Obviously, it's going to create some sort of animus towards that when you look at the numbers here. But like to sit there and try and pretend that this is some sort of thing that's rooted in racism, or, you know, it's like it doesn't, no crime that if committed by white people would be considered evil and terrible and just outrageous becomes less outrageous because it's being done by a minority. That's not reality. That's not reality. When you sit there screaming, it's racism, you know how that's been falling on deaf ears. Look at what a miserable failure that was in one election after another when you're screaming racism. You burnt that card. That card is gone. The sane America, and I know you don't think MAGA is sane. I get that. I understand that. I'm not talking about MAGA. I'm talking about sane America. The folks who are too often referred to as normies, which is not a term I like at all, but the people who are not politically active, when they hear that idiocy, they know and recognize it is idiocy. And all you do is damage your own credibility. All you do is embarrass yourself further that you're too small and petty an individual to be able to own the loss. I ate it. Okay? Buffalo Bills, January 27th, 1991. They let me down and let those stupid, stinking, lousiest Super Bowl winning team imaginable, New York Giants, managed to crawl out with some stupid Super Bowl win. I had to eat it. Tip the cap. Jeff Hosteller managed to hold the ball. He didn't fumble in the end zone, even though he's got a hand gripping his wrist that's holding the ball, and he still ended up not giving up a safety or anything there. I don't know what the hell's happening. Still ended up not being a touchdown. I think it was a safety, but not a touchdown. Still holding on to the ball with Bruce Smith like clawing at him. You eat it. You just got to eat it. You just eat it. So that's my advice to them. Just eat it. Sometimes you just got to eat it. Where are we at? We got KP Times. I got through number 5 of Lizzie here. KPT Times saying jumping on the Lizzie train. I'm cheating, damn it. Master Debate says, number 6, smash the like, or Joe talks about my fantasy football folly. All hail our, I didn't even see that you wrote this like before I started my story. All hail our fearless, not a cult leader. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Lizzie's coming at me here. I sent you a tip to help with the show on fraud. I commented on your first notice on locals. Wasn't sure you get it, so I also messaged you in DM on X, but I doubt you caught that either. So here, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I did see that you commented. I just wasn't sure what you wanted me to do. I was looking in locals there to see what you wrote, and you said, forgot the link. You said another King County fraud factory. Let's zoom in. There's a 20-minute link to what you have. Maybe I'll cover this later. Maybe I'll cover this in the it's how King County is obviously in Washington, the state of Washington. So maybe I'll cover that later. I was also thinking about talking about the Ohio fraud that's been exposed. It's not just Minnesota. It's mostly Minnesota. You know, the big stories coming out of Minnesota, but the fraud is coming out everywhere. Avoid all those horse apples. Owns Jones are shoveling. It's social media high school mean girl BS. I'm trying to. Liz is just coming on through. She's pulling us across that finish line. Did you hit the goal already? Did we hit the goal? I gotta see. 5 more. Hold on. Tonight's stream, lessons for lefties. Yes, lessons for everyone. It's a very healthy. To embrace the loss. Sometimes it's a good thing. I want you to know something. Because I've had so many talks like this, talks that probably were the progenitor of me starting these humanities things with Dave, my friend Dave, who I met when I was like 19 or so, because he and I were 2 people who were just able to think alike as far as just sort of dissecting and analyzing how and why people act a certain way. And frankly, at that point in life, I was trying to use it to manipulate people. I'm not gonna kid you. That was the objective. It was basically like it was how to win friends and score. Not like literally the way you guys talk about scoring, but basically to be as popular as possible. So he told me a great deal, as I did him. There was a lot of like brainstorming. Very smart man. Still a close friend of mine to this day. Lizzie going crazy. And then she hit me with this too. God bless you, Lizzie. I don't know if we hit that goal. I assume you hit that goal. We did. God bless you. That's an echo there. And as I'm reading, she's saying to me, dang, I can't count. Definitely get to you $200. Oh my God. Oh my God, another one. Don't call me Lizzie. I'm Liz. Stupid YouTube added those letters to my name and they're idiots. Liz, okay? Got it. Liz, got it. Liz. I assume that you... Okay, we're going just Liz. Just Liz. I should remember that. My grandmother, rest her soul, her name was Elizabeth. So I'm going to try to remember. Is Elizabeth okay? Is Elizabeth okay? Does that work for you? So it's not Lizzie, it's Liz. Oh, Elizabeth is okay? All right, fine. I'll try to remember that. I think you earned the formality. My grandmother, rest her soul, was a very she was a very what's the term you call for people who she had a lot of grace and class. The word I was going to say was pretentious, but the pretentious sounds derogatory. But someone who comes across with pretension, like she was very she was almost intimidating in just how I'm talking about my father's mother, which she was just very almost intimidating, just how much grace and class she held herself with. And she died when I was 8, but it still made that impression on me. So, as Richard Parker says, goal. Thanks, Elizabeth. Get comfortable, Joe. I'm totally comfortable. Hit the like, drink the Kool-Aid, chase the squirrels, get in those comfy tracksuits, and do not eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Thank you, Iowa Backyard Cam. You guys are so awesome tonight. Go Seahawks. What? No. I don't really care about the Seahawks one way or the other. They have a good defense this year, though. Surprisingly good defense. Nope, it's Cowgirls while Jerry's the owner wannabe coach. Oh, trust me. No one hates Jerry Jones more than I do. I have such a deep loathing for Jerry Jones that I pray he dies of very obviously natural causes, so I don't have to field questions from the FBI. I mean, you all know I would never actually commit violence, but that guy, I don't like Jerry Jones. I do not like that man. Every time I see him, my stomach twists. All I'm saying is Jets fans know what it's like to be a Browns fan after this season. Only put up 5 points on Christmas. It's hard to do. Pathetic. It is hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. And I don't think I gave Elizabeth the horn for this one. So I'm going to. So sick of corrupt judges letting criminals off the hook while we the people pay the price in taxes and often blood. Happy New Year, Joe. Amen. Right on, gal. I'll tell you this much. What she's referencing here is the multiple defendants found guilty were let off the hook by Minnesota judges. I saw a clip showing 3 different judges that had done it, and for one reason or another, I can't find it now. Maybe one of you will be able to share it with me on X at some point. I can't find it now. I've neglected to put it aside. I spent a whole night here, at least an hour, going through this and reading through a decision from this crazy judge who overrode a guilty verdict, claiming that there was insufficient evidence, and directed a verdict notwithstanding the jury's verdict in favor of the defendant, which was just with respect to one of these Minnesotans guilty of committing fraud. These Somalians. It's the Somali in Washington too, and Ohio. I suspect it is the Somali community in Ohio. At a certain point, you have to say, how has it happened to be Somalians every time? Unless this is like actually, there's certain stereotypes which are very negative. That different races apparently have. Some people look at for example, all those British people owning 7-Elevens. Thank you very much. Have a good day. That's all obviously. That's what you almost associate Britain with. And then you have, all these horrible associations that, Jews are ridiculously handsome, and now Somalians have this. So we all have burdens. We all have burdens. Ohio fraud is Des Moines corruption. Somalis and the Haitians in Springfield. Des Moines is a feckless and weak as Kasich before him. Creepy rhinos. I can't. Yeah, they're very, very frustrating. It's Somali in Washington too. And so we got this. Ohio means Great River in Iroquois. Cool. Okay. The name is Liz. If you call me Elizabeth, that means I'm in trouble, and you got my dad voice in my head. Liz, got it, bucko? Liz. I got it. Just Liz. Got it. Just Liz. I'll respect the Liz. All right. Just Liz. I meant it as a compliment. It was when I was going formal, but I don't want to give you bad flashbacks. That's certainly not the objective of the show. Let's get on into this story because I got so much to cover tonight, and I only have 3 hours to get it done, and I don't know how I'm gonna get all this. Some of you might have forgotten the debate between Tim Walz and JD Vance. There's a clip there which is resurfacing on social media which kind of has aged like fine milk ever since this whole story has broken. And here's the clip here of Tim Walz talking about his easy access to childcare funding.
Or go to the business.
Let's turn you down a little bit. You're very loud.
Or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
So there's Tim Walz talking about how he wants to bring his child care programs nationwide. Make me vice president. I can bring Minnesota to you. And JD Vance, I don't remember what JD Vance's response to this was. Probably hitting on all the failures he's had there. But my God, it's not a good look for you, Tim. Not a good look. Not a good look. Why is it not a good look? Well, because of the hero of the weekend. I think, basically, if you look at the heroes this weekend, aside from, those people who put their lives on the line for us, I think you would rank it. Those people who put their lives on the line for us. Some of you would put Santa Claus second. And then third, you have to put Nick Shirley here. Because Nick Shirley, this is what this man has done. And I'm going to be watching a massive chunk of this because what he has done in exposing the fraud in Minnesota is, like, as I said, it's practically an unprecedented level of journalism in the sense that you see it for yourself. You see it for yourself. Now, I understand, it's James O'Keefe really probably gets some credit for inspiring this type of reporting. Probably gets some credit for, I cannot imagine he hasn't been an influence in Nick Shirley's life. So I'm going to tip my cap to him even just on that assumption. But it becomes indisputable when you actually watch what Nick Shirley did. And we're going to watch some of that right now.
He's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia.
I need to just pause for a second because I feel bad. I skipped out a rant from Uzelian over in the ghetto. I see you, ghetto folks. Uzelian saying, Joe, did you see the DOJ in 2019 was tracking a reporter? I did not see that. No. I'm going to try and look into that. I'm going to try and check that out after when I get a chance. Maybe later in this show. Maybe no promises.
These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the U.S. taxpayers' expense. And in this video, we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the government. And we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand. His name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked. How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more. And now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud. And I would see these childcare centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day. And all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing.
And I mean no disrespect to Nick Shirley here at all, but I do want to jump into some of his clips, because some of these clips are just fire, and I want to actually just jump on in with a couple of those here. That's not it. That's not what I wanted. Which one should I find? Which one should I find? These are all side things. All right, I'm not finding the clips I wanted right here right now. I got too many clips up here. I don't like when I have so many tabs. I have way too many tabs. I gotta start deleting some of these. We're gonna go forward here with it.
Where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing?
What's happening?
So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here, we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research. And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address. And together, they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever. And I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations. And even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money.
Of course. Why wouldn't they be?
Dollars for every one of them every year.
Why wouldn't they be? The good news on the violations is no kids are at risk. So there you go. Don't worry about the violations.
The money. And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money. So it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare. So you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation. And a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows they're writing the checks.
The government's paying them.
Yeah, the Democrats over there writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community.
All they got to do is talk to Ilhan.
They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe. And they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand.
Pathetic.
This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud.
Yeah.
And they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law, which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud and is a state employee must report that fraud. It's Minnesota statute 3.971 subdivision 9. Not only that, but Walz is also guilty of misconduct of a public employee. When I look at the world as a whole and I look at fraud, the Twin Cities is ground zero. The fraud is worse here than anywhere else ever in history, anywhere.
We're going to go confront these people. We're going to go to these daycare centers. We're going to see what's actually happening.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Now, with all of David's evidence, we headed out to the streets of Minneapolis to see how much fraud we could uncover in one afternoon. Where are we going now?
We're going to a place called Mako Child Care, which actually has another child care registered at the same address called Mini Child Care Center.
So we should see lots of children if there's this child care center, especially if there's two.
The two of them combined are licensed for 120.
And how much money have these child care centers received?
None of those vans have moved in 6 months. None of them. In 2020, one of them received $1.3 million. In 2021, they got $987,000. In 2022, they got $714,000. That's the last I have for that one. And then the other one, 1.60.
I'll tell you right now, you go on a nationwide examination, we're going to see hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. In just like in just childcare.
$4 million in fiscal year 2025. Fiscal year 2024, they got about $800,000, and in fiscal year 2023, they got $904,059. This place right here. Yes.
We're outside of it.
Well, this is actually two daycares are registered here. One of them is Mako, which you see on this sign. The other one is Mini Child Care Center. And between the two of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year. And there are no children. Every facility as you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here. You won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Yeah. Try to get in, rang the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside. Or
there's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No.
And by the way, it's not surprising that they're open until 10 p.m. If you think about it, like, folks need childcare for any type of hours that they're working. So it's not shocking that they would have extended hours till 10 p.m. I mean, 10 p.m. is pretty late. I'm not going to kid you. That's pretty late. But still, that's not shocking.
That's why there are no children. Have you ever seen children at this child care center? I'm not sure. I don't.
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location. Now we're going to the next daycare center. How much money has this one generated?
This one In fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059. In fiscal year 2024, $1,059,078. And in fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally one block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years. Let's see if there's any children. Let's see if any of the buildings
There's a little
open.
fraud counter there.
Here we go. All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. Let's see if anybody is here. This door is locked.
This facility is licensed for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever. The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars.
Unbelievable.
I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door. Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager?
Why? Why? Why would you want to do that? That's what all business owners say. All people running businesses like, wait, why would you want to use our business?
Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare. And after a few questions, the lady went silent. Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. And now where are we going?
Now we're going to Sweet Angel Child Care.
He just showed you. He just showed you that Quality Learning Center. And I'm going to share this with you just to give you a little update here from Nick Shirley. He says, no more learning. Quality Learning Center has been shut down. Journalism that creates actual change. Boom. There you go. He got them shut down. That's what we just saw the place him visiting right now, Quality Learning Center. There ain't no more Quality Learning Center. Poor kids are going to be without the quality. Hopefully they have Quantity Learning Center. There's no quality. Maybe there's Quantity Learning Center.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which says it's licensed for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids. And all the facilities are the same way. All of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah,
David's really
Once
messed
again,
up.
I try to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door. I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Cuz I need a spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's up?
I don't think Joey's real. Just saying.
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah.
It says it's licensed for 74 children.
Where are the
Right
children?
here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They
Yeah.
got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When? No, when?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there. What's
How
up?
many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You worked here. Okay, well, then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
I'm not my son. No! You're a liar. I'm the owner.
We don't want your stupid son here.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But
No.
You said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door.
So
But now
where did
they're
this
all getting
money
mad.
go? What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner. I'm the kids.
Well, then why are you talking
That's
for the
not my
owner
proof.
if you're
That's
telling me
not
to
my
talk
proof.
to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
I think we're moving on to the next location. Have a good day. As we continue to show the blatant fraud that was taking place here in Minnesota, Somalis started following us around the city. And now we're being followed by the Somalis. This is another daycare center, absolutely no signage, and there's no footprints in the snow of children playing outside. $5 million within the past
5.9 million in 2 years. 5.9 million they received in 2 years. That facility right there.
And now we have a group of Somalis telling us in our vehicle right now. From this daycare center, we headed over to the infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign.
That was the Quality Learning Center.
Fraud is here at
the Quality Leering Center.
So this is Quality Leering.
I don't think Joey Shirley. I don't think he's gonna be happy in Quality Leering Center. I'm just saying. I don't think little Joey Shirley is gonna be happy there. Some people do very poor leering. Oh my God.
Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open up.
They said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up.
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up.
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up. We have ice.
Ma'am, what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up.
and getting $4 million
Don't
over
open
the
up. It's ice.
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away.
What do you think about that?
19
Are you in
million
favor?
websites.
Are you in favor of that?
Go away.
You know where
You're
the-
not welcome here.
Are you-
Shame on you.
Are you in favor of $1.9 million going illegally,
Don't open up.
fraudulently to this business that has Quality Learning Center but can't even spell learning right on the door?
Don't open up.
Ma'am, we are not ICE.
I don't care who you are. You don't
Doofus.
belong here.
I belong here just like you belong here.
Don't open up. It's ice.
You do realize that
By the way, it's so racist of her to assume that ICE has business going in there and that they would actually have, illegals there. It's like even when they're trying to protect their, favored allies or whoever it is, they don't even realize how stupid and racist this moronic woman is. It's like, don't open up. We know you got illegal aliens in there. Don't open up. What the heck is wrong with this? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One of the phone numbers on the signs goes straight to Walz's office. I got a clip on that. Don't worry. I'm going to cover that. Thank you, Malcolm. Is Tim Walz the big guy of this operation? I don't know. I don't know if he's getting kickbacks or not. I mean, I don't think it would be direct kickbacks. If anything, I think it would be in donations and votes. So, that these people who make money contribute a lot to Democrats.
there's supposed to be 99 children in here at this building, but there's no one here. This is a child daycare center.
99 children. Paid $1.9 million.
She has her phone out as if that's some sort of weapon. Like a phone of what? Like, what are they doing, idiot?
Do you know where the children are? Were they kidnapped? They run away?
Did you kidnap them?
This is the state of Minnesota. Right here.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley, ma'am.
And who are you with?
Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley on YouTube.
Yeah, so who are you with here?
Oh, he's just been doing some research investigating the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with Nick Shirley.
This lady, she's calling us ICE. We're just trying to put law and order back in the streets of the United States. Get rid of all the fraud. Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child. You've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody in here.
We're going to educate you on something. So what do you think about this daycare center? They spelled learning wrong. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None at all.
No one's seeing kids there.
This year they got 1.9 million. Last year they got 1.5 million of your tax money for 99 children. We just want to know where are the kids?
Right.
Where are the children?
I don't see them. I've been here since 2017. I haven't seen anybody like
Never
that
seen
here.
a child here.
No, not at all.
And so you've
8
never
years.
seen a child here for 8 years?
Nope, not at all.
And how does that make you feel knowing that this place is receiving $1.9 million?
Disgusting. I mean, what the hell? They stealing the money. That's a federal grant too. That's, if they get caught for that's a federal offense. I know I studied law.
And do you think Tim Walz should go to jail for all the fraud that he's enabled here in his state?
That's him doing this? Heck yeah. He's got to be held accountable for this. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason what's going on here. It's simple. It's nothing there. It's a parking lot.
And look, they even spelled learning wrong on their sign for a place that's supposed to be educating children.
That's crazy. I mean, who runs it?
Well, we'll move on to the next one.
But I'm determined to see this through and to correct what is wrong, what is evil.
Here at Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this
Future
building
Leaders.
received over $3 million.
Well, look.
Hello.
Look, when you're investing in future leaders, it can't just be, you can't just skimp and spend only $1 million. You need $3 million.
Oh, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son, little Joey here. Is there paperwork, or can I check out the daycare? No. Why can't I check out the daycare? Okay, but if can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son, little Joey, to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
You haven't heard no great things.
No, I would like your business card, actually.
You talk to your manager.
Okay, can I speak with somebody? Where are the children at? Are there children here today?
No.
No children.
Yes.
Why are there no children?
Two of Mexico.
Would my son, little Joey, have friends to play with here? No. No. No friends for little Joey.
Yes. Sorry.
Dang it. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
So, little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare.
Joey's still homeless.
Joey's still looking for
I
daycare.
feel bad for
And because
Joey.
little Joey couldn't get into a daycare, we went to an autism center, as they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they're receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him into the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
About zero. About zero.
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5?
Probably.
Probably. You don't really know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer.
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here because there's
So are you asking us about
the fraud.
and stuff like that?
Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. But that's her number on your other bill. But this is you can't let you guys speak. So.
Okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
I feel so bad for Joey.
And again, no kids. Couldn't tell you how many kids they serve.
After being able to provide no
that's what that
evidence of
woman
them
is.
actually being an autism center in a place where
That's what that woman was, and awful. It's true. This is just so wild to me. I messed up with this whole truck driving thing. It seems scamming the government is way more profitable. Certainly, it's much more profitable.
a child could go, they shut the door and we headed to the next fraudulent daycare center that was just around the corner.
We're on to the next location. We're still trying to find little Joey a place to go to get some daycare.
So where we're going now is a place called Super Kids Daycare Center. Interestingly, this daycare center was shut down when it was called Creative Minds Daycare, and it had received $2.45 million this fiscal year 2025. They had to shut down because there were so many violations, and they went and they just reopened under a new license, and they renamed the center Super Kids Daycare Center LLC.
So they got shut down, then started another one.
Literally the next day.
Creative Minds Daycare, $2.45 million got sent to this daycare center. We have Empty parking lot. We do have a bus here. This is different. We'll see if we see anybody.
I knocked on the door.
There we go.
Absolutely nobody was inside. And once again, no children could be heard anywhere.
So David, once again, another child daycare center. We have a bus out here.
Just one after
no one's
another.
Inside. Licensed for over 50 kids. No children.
Let's move along to the next one.
You burn
Companies.
would say better than 90% of it is absolute outright fraud.
And a large percentage of this fraud is from these healthcare companies that are charging the state millions of dollars while they actually aren't providing anything. In fact, the FBI just did a raid a few days ago on a building similar to the one we are about to enter. Inside of this building, there were 14 of nearly the exact same businesses offering the exact same services.
14.
Right here, you have a list of all of the healthcare companies. Loads of them right here. We want healthcare. Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here.
No.
Why can't I get healthcare here?
No, wait.
Warning, you are under video surveillance. No trespassing, security armed. This is the strangest place I've ever been to get healthcare. Just a bunch of different places. Healthcare here, healthcare right here. Another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here in this room of 7C. Now we have another Helping Hands Home Care LLC, another healthcare company. Present Help right here. We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk about getting the best healthcare?
We have so many options. How do I pick the best one? How do I pick the best one? I need the best healthcare. We have so many options.
No. All right. We will not get any healthcare here. David, this is one of the stranger places I've ever been. Literally, healthcare every door you go to, yet nobody will give you a rate. How much money do you think's been funneled through this building?
Every year, I would say 50 to 60 million at least.
And finally, we were accepted into one of the daycare centers and they actually took down our information to give us a rate. However, when we left, we were then met with the police.
We received a complaint that someone mentioning your description were in this building harassing the individuals who stay here.
Oh, we're checking out the rates for healthcare because there's 14 healthcare companies inside this building. So.
Okay.
No, that's not what he said. He said there's 14 companies here, and he's trying to assume because they're Somali providers, everyone here is fraudulent.
Okay. So
he's here with some kind of like propaganda.
No, we're just checking.
No, this is a area that we're allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance. Is there any other reason that you guys are here?
Well, we were checking rates.
No, he's not.
We were checking rates. We asked for rates.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'm gonna have, if you guys are all good, we're gonna step outside and we can continue this conversation.
All right, let's leave. So, all right, we're getting escorted out right now. The police have arrived. We were checking out the rates, seeing what was happening inside this building. No one would really speak with us. We did go inside the one daycare center, and she actually did give us rates for childcare. Much respect to that lady. What's the problem, officer?
Well, so again, we've been getting reports from multiple individuals that you guys were harassing individuals who work here. At the end of the day, this is private property, and it's one that people are allowed to ask you to leave, and it's also one the Minneapolis Police Department is allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance at this address.
Yeah.
So
as we got escorted out of this building, the Somalis filmed us as we left, and we headed over to the next building that had 22 of the same home health care providers operating from inside of the building.
Right here you have multicultural home care. And right here it says it's open, but can't even get in. Another Reliance Recovery Center. Mercy and Grace Care, Inc. Right here you have Den Eritrean Youth Development Association of Minnesota. Another child care center. Welcome to Bright Beginning Center. But what do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Sorry. No comments. Can I please?
Right here, you have Serenity Quality Care. All of these businesses are literally the same type of business, providing the same service in the same.
You would think they would put up more of an effort.
Healthcare.
You would think that, right? I mean, come on.
Child-friendly space. All these companies get money from the government. Why would you have the same company essentially inside of the same building, door to door? Right here, Queenly Home Health Care. It just does not make sense. If you were trying to operate a business, you'd want to have less competition. But here, They have all of their competition right next door. We're wondering, because we hear there's lots of fraud taking place here in Minnesota, and we're wondering.
Yeah, the reason for that is likely that it's probably cheap office space. And you need to, I would imagine you need to have an office in order to qualify for many of these grants. So they probably have cheap office space. That's the most likely explanation. Did Joey's have, I don't even know what that is. What is Riz? What is that? I don't know what that is.
Wondering, why is there so many of the same companies inside of this same building?
No, I don't know that.
What do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't have any idea about that fraud. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
What do you think about the news articles and what's being spread on the news about the fraud?
Right now, you are doing something wrong.
I'm just asking you.
No, you
about
don't have
fraud.
to ask me. Okay. Don't ask me that question again.
Okay.
Okay.
Who can I speak to?
Hmm?
Who can I speak to? Okay. As soon as you confront about the fraud, they get angry. When these people have these home healthcare companies, you're seeing them everywhere inside this building. What kind of...
And if you're not a fraudulent company, you would be happy to call out the fraud of other people, because this way you're basically saying like, yeah, we're legit. Like you would be happy to point that out. I just want to make that point. Like that's the first thing you would be like, hey, I can't speak for anyone else. I don't know what fraud is going on out there. I'll tell you that we are legit. You wouldn't be angry about people asking about fraud unless you felt like you had something to hide. And to me, that's just common sense. Suzelian says, Joe, while this is a big story, I'm not shocked as it isn't the first one there. And he shares with me a link to the Feeding Our Future. Here's who's charged in the fraud scheme, which was back in 2022. And yeah, that's one incident. That's like one thing. This is still going on. That's what makes it so terrible. In other words, here, I'll make this point here. I want to make this point since Suzelian brings this up. Okay, I was planning on getting to this later, but I think we've gotten enough of a vibe here for what Nick Shirley's work here was. We've got 30 out of 42 minutes, but part of what makes this story quite as terrible as it is that this has been going on for quite some time. That's part of it. This isn't the one I wanted. I got way too many clips here. Well, I'll come to it eventually. Like I said, I'm working my way through a whole bunch of these. You might be wondering what Tim Walz's comment was on this. So let's hear from Timmy as to his thoughts about all the fraud that was exposed by Nick Shirley.
Hey guys, it's your governor, Tampon Tim. Well, they finally caught us. If you're a Somalian with one of those fake businesses we used to steal taxpayer money with, please shut it down like right now. If you see a white kid wearing a hoodie holding a small fluffy microphone and an iPhone, do not let him in. His name is Nick Shirley, and he may look like a friendly guy, but believe me, he is not. So just, lock the door, pretend like you're working and shit like that. Oh, and if the FBI knocks on your door, run like you're back in Somalia chasing a chicken for dinner, okay? Anyway, bye guys. We had a good run.
So there you go. There's there's Tampon Tim checking in there with his suggestions for folks. I have other stuff. There's more. But people are asking, why is it that folks are standing up for them? How does this whole thing start? How does this whole thing happen? I got one more clip, of some of the folks who allow this sort of thing to happen. And like that woman there who's trying to harass Nick Shirley, screaming, ICE is here! We actually have a little clip of that woman when she first started getting involved with the Somalian community. Wait. Ew, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. 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 What the heck? Okay, anyway. Sorry, I had to share that one. That was just terrible. That was just terrible. That was bad. And as a result of his reporting, all jokes aside, and this is the first question we need to ask: why is it that everyone has not yet hit the like button? Because the like button should be hit, must be hit, has to be hit, urged to be hit. Please make sure you hit the like button. It would be most obliged. And Nick Shirley here is potentially in danger. It's, you think it's a joke, but he's actually potentially in danger.
The Somalian politician in Maine has placed a bounty on the head of journalists for reporting the fraud in Maine's main care.
So a Somali-American politician here in Maine, Abdullahi Ali,
just the name,
a murder bounty on a journalist for reporting a fraud scandal.
Oh my God.
Millions of dollars involving Maine care. No wonder Maine care and taxes are so expensive here. It's being funneled back to Somalia. And they're putting murder bounties on people reporting it.
The Muslims are putting murder bounties on us because they don't want to get caught sending the money here back to Somalia. Do you guys realize these people don't like Americans? They don't love America. They come here and they use us, and they're not putting that money back into, they're not shopping and supporting restaurants. They're sending it right back to the shithole they came from, which is why they don't benefit us at all. And look, a lot of people do that in Mexico as well. They come here, get to enjoy everything, and then they send all the money back to Mexico. I don't really like that either, but they contribute a lot more, to be fair.
They contribute by doing work and services. So if they want to take that money and then send it back home, that's fine. If they're doing work and services and they want to send it back to what they consider home, it's not helpful it's not as helpful to the American economy, but at least they're providing a service and earning their money
significantly more. I don't like the illegals here, but I do like Mexicans in general. I don't like any Somalians. I don't think I'm ever going to meet one I like. I don't think they contribute. Mexicans.
All right. Well, anyway, I don't really care about the rest of her thoughts. I'm not sure who is this woman anyway. I don't know her name. I don't know. I'm not sure who she is. She probably Flashpoint News. I'm not sure who she is. Anyway, so folks are looking out now for Nick Shirley and whatever danger he may be in. Got a couple more clips on this.
They said they were going to smoke you. What do you think he was saying?
Yeah, I think he was literally saying he was going to kill me.
My God.
If snipers were not there that night, I don't know what would have happened. He had me pinned against the road. He had his helmet off, ready to smash me. And
I don't know when this incident was.
Car that same night, another Antifa member flashed his gun to a few guys that are walking with me, said that he was going to make me Kirk Jr.
Wow. Antifa's armed?
Yeah, they have machetes, they have guns, and it's just lawless. And they don't care because the city doesn't enforce the laws.
And they don't pat these guys down? I mean, these guns can't be legal.
Yeah, it's wild.
So Brandon Tatum has stepped up and saying that he wants to actually help out in making sure that Nick Shirley gets protected. So here is Officer Brandon Tatum talking about how he helped arrange security for Nick Shirley.
You should be able to go out and give your opinion, and a person should say, screw you, I don't like what you have to say, and y'all walk away from each other, right? And like I was telling you the other day about making sure you're safe, this world is crazy. You shouldn't have to worry. You should be able to go out and give your opinion, and a person should say, screw you, I don't like what you have to say, and y'all walk away from each other, right? Or the person say, I love what you got to say, I want to entertain the conversation. But nowadays, they want to kill you. They don't want to argue with you. They want to bludgeon you. They want to beat you.
And they think it's justifiable. Yeah, so security is something that you don't really think about until you need it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to think about it after the fact that you needed it. And so when you reached out and you're like, yo, I got this company, I got these people that help me do my security, you need to get with them, especially for this video, because the Somalis.
Yeah, obviously for the audience that hear me talk about Black Line all the time, and it's you are the reason I created Black Line. Me and people like you, right? And the reason I create the Guardian Fund, which is the nonprofit side of it, where like your audience can support you. And so your audience could donate specifically to help you with security and make sure you're safe, because this stuff can get crazy expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very, very expensive. I mean, you basically need someone around you like countless hours of the day whenever you're working. These people aren't the masterminds. The money is being skimmed or laundered back to a kingpin or a group of kingpins. Start with Ilhan. She's the middleman. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Somalia doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S. Of course not. Run by Al-Shabaab. So, and here's your typical leftist. We're just going to call this one Hope Walz, as in daughter of Tim Walz.
In the name of
She's going to give you a whole boo-hoo story about how rough it is being the daughter of Tim Walz.
transparency, because I think that is what people appreciate about me and my content. And it's something that I'm really proud of and like stand by and think is important regarding posting on the internet. I'll be honest in saying having the entire right-wing infrastructure launch a hate and bot campaign against you and your family really sucks.
I'm sure it's not pleasant, and I certainly don't want anyone to cause any physical harm to Hope Walz, no matter how deranged a lunatic she is, which she is a deranged lunatic, but I still don't want anyone, committing violence against her, God forbid.
Especially because I'm a private citizen. You're
not really such a private citizen. You see, here's where she's like you can see the loony eyes. Look at those loony eyes. Same as her mother. Oh my God. Look at those eyes. Oh my gosh, that's the same eyes her mother has. Like the wide open while looking down. Wow. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I caught that. You guys seeing this freeze frame here? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? My God. What was her mother's name? I want to try and find a picture of her mother like this. I'll find it. Gwen Walz.
Hey, New Jersey, it's time to get quality, affordable health insurance from Get Covered New Jersey.
There's no
Plans
such thing.
include free preventive care,
There's no
coverage for
such thing. That's
prescriptions,
crap.
emergency care.
What Kamala Harris told us we had to do was we had to
Look at those eyes.
turn the page, right? Yeah, because we have something really exciting headed in our direction.
Oh,
But
is it?
I kind of liked it when she did this. Turn the page. You didn't like that? Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna turn the page. Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're gonna turn the page. And we're gonna turn the page. All right, so I'm gonna be watching you because when I see Wisconsin and I'm one watching
Look at those wide open eyes.
a pretty important place in Minnesota. Help me practice with this. You just show me this. Turn the page, right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like?
Look at her.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Look at that. Don't tell me. Yeah. Yeah. It's like she said this when Biden was in office and Kamala Harris was vice president, which was so stupid. I'm so glad that they were idiots. Turn the page. Remember Brat's Summer Brat? So here's Crazy Eyes Hope Walz.
I pay my rent. I work multiple jobs.
You're a podcaster. You're a leftist podcaster and calling yourself a private individual. What the hell does that even mean? I mean, I'm a private individual also, but I'm a podcaster. You're trying to be a public figure, and you're riding on the coattails of the fact that your name is Hope Walz. and you're the daughter of Tim Walz, because you certainly seem to have about as much talent as a sack of manure. So you're sitting there riding his coattails, boo-hooing. Oh my gosh, it's so rough being the daughter of everyone hates my dad. You're not a private individual.
I do my thing as a private citizen.
Yeah, okay, you're a private citizen who's trying to ride the fact that you're Hope Walz to fame and glory. So you get no sympathy from me.
And then like having an extreme amount, like overwhelming amount of like DMs and comments and emails, just
that you suck.
It's like peddling propaganda and like pushing agendas.
Like your father is overseeing the worst corruption in any state's history?
Is hard because I don't have anything to do with anything.
No, you stand there on the left supporting all this idiocy, and you have a freaking podcast.
And I guess with this administration and at this point in time, harassing people on the internet is okay.
The whole boo-hoo. You see, even now she's got to throw in like a little dig at the Trump administration, while claiming I'm just a private citizen. I'm just a private citizen. This is the classic, bully victim. You're bully victim.
But like I can tell you that if I didn't have the support system I have,
the support system I have. If I didn't have the support system I have, I don't know if I could cope.
This is how people get hurt. Like it really is.
I don't want to see you get hurt. And I don't think that's actually true in your case. No one gives enough of a damn about you to like want to hurt you, which is a good thing. I don't want to see her hurt. But it's the whole boo-hoo. People threatening you the way they're threatening Nick Shirley. Do you need to have security?
And I honestly never thought it was going to be me, especially like when I have nothing to do with anything. Again,
nothing to do with anything. You put yourself in the spotlight, so you're going to get some hate. I get hate. We all get hate. And I don't have a famous governor father.
And I'm just like living my life. Yeah, this is how people get hurt. And I have a great support system, and I'm like very confident in who I am as a person and the work I do.
You're an airhead, and you're a professional airhead.
But living in like a post-truth world is really scary. And though I'm hopeful for the future, we have a lot of work to do to like get to a point where people don't just believe what their dear leader tells them to and like
and they believe what you tell them instead.
Spin reality to fit that. But instead like have empathy and critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
But yeah, I'm gonna, continue to do my own thing. I just felt the need to say that.
Boo-hoo. Life is so rough being Hope Walz. I mean, it probably is. I assume her parents are lunatics, just based on everything I've seen from them. And they seem kind of psychopathic. But the left in general is, unlike the advice I would give them, which I gave at the beginning of this show, which is you just sort of own it and say Tim Walz sucks and they need to get rid of the corruption. And you could try to say, don't blame it on Somalians exclusively. That I get doing. I can understand doing that. But instead, they're just basically saying, no, it's not real. It's not real. I mean, you all saw the video. They saw the same video we saw. The MSNBC saying, no, it's not a real thing at all.
Sure. So these were funds that were meant to go to help feed hungry people during the COVID pandemic, to help keep people in their homes who were at risk of homelessness. So first
not
of all,
the child care
fraud there. That should be fully investigated, no matter where it is, whether it's in a Democratic-led state, a Republican-led state. I mean, let's pull back. So absolutely, it should be investigated. The question is, why is this a priority in a different kind of way? The politicization of the DOJ and the FBI is undeniable. So
undeniable when there's $8 billion in fraud coming out of one state, of both state and federal funds. It's undeniable. It's being politicized. You can't even say the word politicized. You just say politicization.
Narrators is the big question. And this is what happens when you weaponize and politicize federal agencies that are not meant to be, politicized. And I think the American people are right to ask the question, well, can we trust you? And that's a sad thing.
The American people are not asking that. Maybe in your little bubble over there, people are asking that. Most folks are asking, where are the kids? That's what most people are asking. Where are the children? How do you let something like this happen? That's what most people are asking. They're not asking the questions you're asking. You got to get your head for like 30 seconds out of that tiny little air pocket bubble that you stick it in. You got to sort of just use the jaws of life to extricate your skull from your sphincter and actually like listen to what Americans are saying, which is, oh my God, this is an insane level of fraud.
To say as an American. Let's recall too that there's also other scandals in other states. For example, the Mississippi welfare scandal. And this is not unique to politics. Americans know that. But of course, the other factor here is that because it looks like the Somali population,
it's racism.
In Minnesota, the Somali immigrant population may have been involved in some way. Those people are being scapegoated, and that community is being scapegoated. And
the problem you have with this is that it's the Somali community in Minnesota, and it's the same fraud being perpetrated by the Somali community in Ohio and the Somali community in Kings County. So it kind of starts building on itself, where people are like, yeah, I'm not sure why it is that it's routinely the Somalian community. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? That where we have a Somali community, that they're just sort of finding all this fraud here. So we don't have that many Somalians in this country, but a grossly disproportionate percentage of them are engaged in fraud. Can you deny that? That a grossly disproportionate percentage of Somalians are involved in fraud, benefiting from fraud, and then sending that money from fraud to Al-Shabaab. You see, that's the problem you're having here. This is not something that it's like, all people are the same. It's just not reality. This is Jessica Tarlow trying to also downplay the findings of Nick Shirley's work. Apparently, the Somali community thinks that he's a threat, but Jessica Tarlow thinks nothing's proven.
Nick Shirley's reporting, there's no way that this kid walking around uncovered $100 million worth of fraud on his own. There have been tons of people working behind the scenes quietly, including independent local journalists that have been exposing this. I don't know about the veracity of every single thing that he's gone and seen that's being debated online, but obviously there's a huge problem here. It does Democrats no favors to get partisan about this and to dig in and say, oh, it absolutely couldn't be happening because it's my team that this happened to. Nick Shirley.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look, I will tell you this. I didn't notice his number jump from 20 million to 69 million based on the estimates from that guy about, how much money was being defrauded out of that one building. I did notice that, but yeah, just own it. You just own it at a certain point. But as I said, this is not just in Minnesota. This is in Kings County in Washington, as Uzelian pointed out. Following the exposure of millions of fraud at Somalia-run care centers in Minnesota, similar concerns now surfacing in Washington state, where 539 of about 5,000 licensed care centers are Somalia-run, many lacking a physical address. See, in Minnesota, you have to have a physical address, I guess. That's why we see so many of these places that Nick Shirley can show up at. You can't show up at a place that doesn't exist in Washington and run a similar expose. I think it's designed to show that there's a lot of Somalians running the same thing. This doesn't sound like, Kenny's daycare. Because they're all Abdi Muna, and then Abdi Katro, and then it's one Abdi after another. Oh, we got up to the Abdi Kadirs. Now I understand it's going alphabetically. Abdinur, Abdullah, Faduma. That's a lot of daycare centers. That's just we're just in the ABs now. Still, we're not up to the ACs yet. Oh, we got to ADs finally. Aiden, Halima. It's like one after another. It's like you would think there would be one, like, you know, one American sounding name in here. Just one? I don't know. They're just streaming on through. Streaming on through. Ali Fatuma, Ali Hamdi, Ali Hawa, Ali Fahmo, Ali Abiba, Ali Hufan, Ali Galton, Ali Khadija, Ali Kadra, Ali Hudra Sabin, Ali Hodan, Ali Ali Neshad, Ali Saida, Ali Shugri, Ali Samia, Ali Marian. Oh, look at this. Look at that. We had one that was sounding like a little American there. R. Oh, sorry. I thought I saw the word R and I was like something else, but it's Ashukri. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. Alim Saida. It's crazy. I did see an article, I don't know if it was satire or not, saying that there was a legitimate traffic issues in front of the governor's mansion because people were lined up to scream the R word at him. It's not the R word, it's the T word. We just around here we don't use the R word. We just use the T word. I assume by R word you're saying that word that, you know, you can't say on YouTube. By T word I mean Todd. With a daddy like Tim, she has no hope. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Clifford. However, she may be able to visit him in 3 walls with bars. I would hope so. Gwen sounds like Kamala's sister from another father. God bless you, Joe. Thank you, Clifford. I hope you have happy holidays, brother. And so glad to see you on later. I rarely make the early shows. I'm glad to see you too, Ann. Liz hitting me with another 100. I'm so pissed. I'm throwing another 100. Way to piss us off, Joey. Well done. I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm letting you know what's going on in the world. And maybe hope's around the corner. Maybe hope's around the corner. I got some good news in this story coming up soon. Remember when Greg yelled at Jessica for the both sides isms about Charlie Goodtime? She was thankfully absent for like 3 weeks after that. That's true. That's true. That was right after Charlie Kirk. Yeah. Triple dipping daycare, meals, transport, and throw in some ballot stuffing with all that time. With all that time out time. Yeah, it's true. Ademula would never do something like this. Obviously. Beck Nichols says, Joe, I swear I can run a fake childcare business for only $500,000 a year. Come on, man, hook a brother up. Yeah, I have no doubt that you could, Breck. I have no doubt that you could. They got greedy. That was the problem. They got greedy. I don't know. I didn't notice in Alibaba. I did not. I didn't know. Especially because maybe that's too on the nose with the 40 thieves. Maybe it's too on the nose. Ugh. Gosh. So some good news with Nick Shirley's report coming out. Some changes happening in Minnesota. Some changes happening. Check out what's happening in daycare centers in Minnesota now.
Allegations. Is there fraud going on here?
They got kids showing up now.
No, it's a video. I just want to know what's your response. Huh?
Get the out of here.
What's your response to the allegations? Is there fraud going on here? And is there children? That's all.
That's the Quality Leering Center. Now it has kids showing up. The Quality Leering Center. Don't worry, they shut down. But they had kids showing up for like 10 minutes there. least a kid.
Allegations.
And a kid showing up there. So everyone's very excited they have a kid there. But wait, there's more. I got a lot more for you. I gave you something earlier about Tim Walz's reaction to this, which frankly may not have been like really completely on the money. Like there may have been some AI involved there. To be totally frank with you, there may have been some minor AI tinkering when he was basically telling the Somali community that if they see the FBI show up at the doors, they should run like they're back in Somalia chasing a chicken. But Kevin Dalton reporting here. Tim Walz issues a full apology to taxpayers, vows not to rest until every penny is repaid, and guarantees everyone involved will go to prison. Just kidding. He called any investigation into the billions in fraud white supremacy.
This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy.
So it sounds to me, Nick, that Governor Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Nobody would give a damn if it was white people doing this fraud.
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over and they're inside of these towns like Minneapolis where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset. And I fully understand why they're upset, because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Nick, your video's been viewed 93 million times. What do you think will be the result of this? Do you think that things will change because of bringing attention to this, or do you think it'll be much the same, swept under the rug and keep moving forward?
Yeah, there better be change. People are demanding it. The investigations have been launched just from that video alone. And so there better be change because, like I said, we work way too hard to be paying taxes. We work way too hard to be not knowing where our money's going. And at the end of the day, the people in the government, they work for us. We don't work for them. And so it's their responsibility to hold these people accountable. And so if there's not something that's happened, people are going to be very frustrated. And so if President Trump's watching this, it's time to really get down to nitty gritty and to make a difference in this place of Minnesota that is pretty much like Somaliland right now.
Well said. It is pretty much like Somaliland right now. On that white supremacy thing, here's more of Tim Walz.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up. Because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And
no, it's your incompetence.
And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in.
There's a lot more still happening. That's the point. How are you so stupid about this?
That out of a broader ring, Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics, all ethnic groups.
That doesn't make it okay. Why is there so much fraud? It's not that that's Somalians, it's that there's so much fraud. That's what you're being held accountable for.
So I think it's really important for us to note each community's got this in their own midst.
They're so desperate to fixate on the community rather than fixate on the fact that you're incompetent boob.
But to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it.
No, you
I
should have
think
been
that's a pretty hard
responsible.
reach. I think we continue to educate folks about why they shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and at schools and in our society. But no, I think this idea that the Somali community is to blame for this because they didn't do more. I think that's how we got into this. And that's, you know, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it.
You made it worse. It's gotten much, much worse under you. It's not brand new. It's been known about since at least 2022, if not before that. And this has just gotten worse under you. You're the problem. As much as the Somalian community, you are the problem.
White hot and very dangerous.
You're very dangerous. You're very dangerous to everyone who lives under your thumb. Not to mention federal government, which has to subsidize your incompetence. Federal government is starting to get involved. As Gunther Eagleman reports here, second largest Somali community in America is having their come to God moment now that ISIS surged into Columbus, Ohio. I guess they're eating the dogs and the cats. This is huge and sends a message to these third worlders that their corruption and fraud are not welcome in our country. Get them all out. And here he has a little clip of that. Little clip. But this is Columbus.
I'm backing up. I'm backing up. I am backing up.
It was obviously some doofus anti-ISIS.
I'm not impeding. Whoa.
Not so brave when you don't have hundreds of your friends with you, are you? Not so brave. Not so brave when you don't have hundreds of your friends surrounding you, all screaming like a bunch of lunatics. But apparently, America is being threatened now that they better not dare start up with the Somalian community. Here's a guy actually issuing a threat. Curious about your thoughts on this threat.
If you're kicking out Somalis, you have to kick out everyone else. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm speaking for all of my African brothers and sisters. If you kick Somalis out, you have to kick all of them out. All of us, we all leave together. Because if you kick us out, you have to kick everyone else. I'm gonna be honest, and I know everyone in the comments, everyone watching this video agrees with me. If you're kicking out
It's like threatening me. If you eat steak, I'm also gonna throw in free onion rings. If you get the steak, I'm gonna throw in free onion rings. You better watch out. You better watch out. Drinks free all night if you order a steak. Watch out. You don't know what you're messing with. So stupid. You're so stupid. Oh my God. You sure you want that steak? I mean, there's gonna be just a ton. I'm gonna have this whole table filled with beers. Oh no! Oh no! Forget Somalians will lose more immigrants. That's a collateral effect. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So out of their minds. My vid explains the game starts at 9:50. All right. Look, you know what? I don't know much. I don't know anything about, not much. I know nothing about this video. He did share it with me where I asked for people to, if they had anything they wanted to share with me to weigh in. He did share it with me. And I like Richard. And he gives me a timestamp to start at, which We're gonna watch. This is from King County Fraud. King County Fraud. He gives me a timestamp to start with, which I like and respect that. That's someone who does their homework and says, here, Joe, I'm going to make it easy for you. So we're going to jump to that timestamp. I'll give us a few minutes. This is another King County fraud factory discovered, $1.5 billion slush fund. How much was embezzled?
But let's talk about fraud in general and government fraud specifically, and more specifically, this whole life cycle of organized government fraud that occurs. And I think it's important that you understand this. And I do want to talk about this a little bit more because in order to understand how to find fraud in government, you have to understand the basic kind of overview of how it works. Because essentially, it doesn't matter whether you're in Bozeman or you're New York or California or Texas or Florida, wherever you go, the program is essentially the same, especially at a local government level. And it's important to understand this life cycle, this whole life cycle of organized government fraud and the whole grant grifting operations with like the homeless industrial complex or gangrene and the government staff infection, whatever it is. This is essentially the same process for all of them, and they all have to follow this basic thing. Number one, you got to find or create a public problem. This is critical. You can't justify squandering the people's money as much if you can't pretend like there's an emergency, or if you can't create that emergency through stupid policies or incompetent policies that government passes. The problems that you'll see with government agencies or damage they do to the community, it's not a bug, it's a feature, because you have to use those problems that you create and virtue signal. You actually want to do something about it. By God, you want to do something about it. And of course, every single time that you need to do something, the solution's always going to be taxpayer dollars. Climate change, more taxes. You want to save the spotted owl that's being killed by the barred owl, more taxes. You want the pocket gopher that survives in the middle of the artillery impact zone of Fort Lewis to be protected elsewhere in Thurston County, more taxes. It's always going to be more taxes because that's how you grant and create grant grifting operations, and you need to extract taxpayer cash in order to fund your lifestyle as a grant grifting operation. That's just how it goes. So number two, you got to virtue signal and justify that you got to do something super expensive. And this is what leads then to the taxes and the grants and the laws, of course, to address that issue. And this is the proclamations. This is, the whole kit and caboodle here. Basically, you organize it, and the end goal is to get that cash. And once you get it, the next goal, of course, is to make the problem even worse than it was before, and then say the problem really was government didn't give us enough. We need more. Rinse.
We're doing good. We're doing good, Richard. We're doing good. We're doing good with the. I think he's explaining it with the PowerPoint and everything, and we're good.
Wash, repeat is the same cycle. It is done everywhere. You'll see it in King County. You'll see it in Thurston County. You see it in San Juan County, and you'll see it in red cities as well. Sometimes you'll see it in red states and blue cities and red states. It's the same program over and over again. Basically, just follow those basic rules, and that's how you get the cash. This is the life cycle of an organized government fraud operation, grant grifting operation, whatever you want to call it. But either whatever you want to call it is still wasting your taxpayer dollars. And of course, one of the top rules of government fraud, if you're going to be committing it and taking that money, number one, and this is the most important one, you got to make sure that your friends get paid. If you're the politician kicking that cash out to your grant grifting friends who've been, washing campaign contributions to you, make sure they get paid. If you're kicking it out to contractors or you're kicking it out to some other vendors, you've got to make sure they get paid. The last thing you need is a whistleblower who's on the inside cycle to go public with what exactly is happening here. Rule number two, and this one I think is sometimes not as obvious for people, you got to make sure that you have useful people, whether they're intelligent, whether they're not, whether they know what they're doing or not, doesn't really matter. Just go to every state college, you can recruit a crowd. You got to protest and demand more taxes at all times. Because again, remember, that is a key part of this. The only thing that works is getting more tax dollars. If you don't keep.
And by the way, the term useful idiots was actually created by communism, referring to their own adherents. Communist Party came up with the term in the 1940s or 50s, I think, or maybe even earlier, saying that basically we need useful idiots to be pushing forward communism. I did a whole breakdown on this like 3 or 4 years ago about the origin. If you Google, you can check me up on this. If you Google the origin of the term useful idiots, you will find that it was originally coined by communists, referring to their own adherents who would go out and basically help promote communism.
The gravy train funded with tax dollars, you're in trouble. Rule number three, you got to make sure that some of that cash ends up in your back pocket for your hard work, especially if you're a politician or a senior bureaucrat. So if you're wondering where that cash inevitably goes and why politicians will go work for such measly salary and then suddenly mysteriously become multimillionaires in the end, this is part of that program. That's how you keep it going. Third rule, don't forget it. Finally, this is another important fourth rule. You got to sucker the media with virtue signaling stories. You got to deny that there's ever a problem because the narrative at all costs must be protected. And the media is usually quite happy to go along with this because number one, they're lazy. Number two, they're collapsing anyway. Number three, one of the things they're trying to do is get their own piece of the grant grifting pie. If you watch the Washington State Legislature recently, they're passing bills to basically fund local media to kind of keep it going. And the reason why they're doing that is that they need local media to basically keep pushing the narrative that they're trying to sell to people so they can justify higher taxes and more grant grifting operations in the future. So you don't want to forget that. All of that is quite important. And if you don't do that, you're in trouble. And this essentially is how modern grant grifting operations work. And hip hip hooray, if you're on the inside, you're in Fat City taking lots of cash and distributing it to your friends, and you're squandering it right and left. And the taxpayers oftentimes are none the wiser. Yeah, they'll grumble that the tax is going up, but after all, it's for a good cause. It's for your own safety. It's to save the world, fix climate change, stop the ocean level, sea levels from rising, or whatever panic, chaos that they can invent at the time. That's how it works. And now you know that's basically the system. You're going to see it play out time and time again wherever you are. And once you've seen behind the curtain, you can't unsee what you know. And this brings us back to King County, of course, because
Yeah. And I think that applies really everywhere, right? I mean, you want to know why this happens? That's why this stuff happens. That is why this stuff happens. I got a bunch of chats I need to get to here. They called in all their wives and their kids. Probably, almost definitely that was the kids that we saw going in there. I agree with you 100%. Where are you coming up with kids, presto, the next day? How all of a sudden you game for the first time ever getting kids to walk in there? It's, they get their employees to bring in their kids, basically. Are you going to have a good logic day? Put the kids in tracksuits and collect the cash. That'd be funny. John Jelaine says, Walz runs Minnesota so well that it attracts criminals. I covered, each time I have a show, so I create the thumbnail myself. I know you assumed it was professional. I know, but believe it or not, I do that myself. So the way I'll do is I'll go into Photoshop and I'll just sort of, I'll go into PowerPoint and I'll just sort of start creating. I'll start putting together different backgrounds and get pictures of different folks who I think, like for tonight's, I got Tim Walz and I also got Nick Shirley up there. And I'll just, carve out this part and throw in this thing and try to figure out how I want to label it to be somewhat eye-catching. When I created tonight's thumbnail, so I always give a name, which I'll label it TFP for the following program, and then I'll give it like a name. And I always just will type together a few names, just a few, whatever words just pop into my head. And for tonight, I put up TFP Walz fraud, right? And then I saw when I started typing it out, I already had a different thumbnail from months ago called TFP Walz fraud. And I'm just like, I how many times am I end up covering this guy and all the fraud that's around him? And I know that I spent one day where I was talking about how he created the perfect storm. You talk about attracting criminals, the perfect storm to have kids be destroyed by creating laws. And this is what I'm referring to when I was covering in that episode, is he basically created laws to lure as many children who are confused about their gender to come to Minnesota and get basically free whatever to trans into whatever. Then he made a law that it's completely legal. So he's like, no matter what state you're from, if you need trans care, come on here. I got you. Then he made a law that made it completely legal for any stranger to talk to any child about trans care. So I'm like, think about what you're doing. You're basically encouraging kids who are seriously screwed up, the most vulnerable people out there. We're not just talking about children. We're talking about children who obviously have deep-seated emotional, mental issues, confusion about their own bodies. And then we're going to draw them in here from across the country. And then we're going to tell anyone who's here, hey, it's totally fine for you to have any conversation with any minor about their sexuality. You're basically turning Minnesota into the perfect storm for predators to basically destroy the most vulnerable and easily attacked kids. And this is the lunacy of Tim Walz. That guy is a menace to society. He is a danger. He is a hazard. I don't want anyone to harm him physically. God forbid, no one should ever harm him physically. I think it's totally fitting to pray for God to strike lightning down on that insane, demented human being. No one should harm him physically, but he is a terrible, terrible human being who has made life terrible, terrible for millions of people. He's a terrible person. Awful, evil, evil, evil man. So yeah, that his state basically has per capita the highest crookedness of any government agencies. That has surprised anyone? No, it makes it all the less surprising that this unknown dude was selected by Kamala Harris, because he's pretty much he's like the Michael Jordan of Democratic policies. Has Tim ever had the plot to lose? Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think that's sickening. Imagine that floppy jaw jerk face being a heartbeat away from the presidency. Yeah. God. That's what we almost had. Blah, 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 blah. The tree of liberty is in drought. To jail with all of them. Time to replace the Minnesota governor. Amen. Amen. And we're going to see soon that efforts are in the works along that way. Efforts are in the works. Tim, Trump is as white as you are. Yeah. Are you saying he's are you saying he should hold you accountable? By the way, Timmy, methinks you could use on all these finest alleged learning centers that you've been funding. All these Feinstallinged? I'm not sure. Sorry. I know you probably got chewed up by your keyboard. This inspires me to do hard work and research on fraud. Thank you, Joe. Happy holidays. You're welcome, Kelly. Thank you. If I can inspire people in any way that's remotely positive, I say God bless. Uzani says, Joe, Vinny on PBD brought more to this and shares a link with me here. You give me a 2-hour link? A 2-hour link? Let's see that at 20 minutes in, he's talking about Nick Shirley. 10 minutes in, he's talking about Nick Shirley. PBD needs to get me on. It's time. Patrick, it's time. It looks like I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, I see that he was watching the Nick Shirley video for part of it, but I don't know what to do with that. And apparently, this is relatively breaking. January 17th, thousands of Christians will march Minneapolis City Hall. Christian Americans will no longer stand for the Somalian pirates robbing us blind with their daycare centers. We're demanding the resignation of Governor Tim Walz. Let's see what we got here.
It's like Minneapolis fall to Islam and Concord and Dearborn. So unless we have leadership, real men, to stand up in this country, Nick, we will see entire cities like Minneapolis fall to Islam. And that's why I'm out here, because I want to make sure white children and Christian children have a future in America.
Jake then gave a speech to all the people that showed up to the march.
Our country was founded by strong men who are willing to stand in the face of evil, and our country will be saved.
I'm not going to kid you. I'm getting a certain vibe from this guy here. I'm getting a certain vibe, but let's see what we got.
By strong Christian men who are willing to stand in the face of Islam again. Here's your kryptonite, Muslims. Here's your kryptonite. We will drive you to the sea, across the sea, back to where you came from, with peace in our hands and Jesus in our hearts. You cannot stand against the strength of white American men. You Muslims need to go home before we send you packing. I suggest you leave now before the crusades really start.
So this is what ends up happening. I think it's what the left wants. Yeah, a bit of a, yeah. See, I understand standing up for Christianity. Why are you standing up for white Christianity? That's a little bit. That's disconcerting. You want to stand up for your religion, I get that. Why are you standing up for white Christianity specifically? And while we're on the lunacy of Tim Walz, there's a side note I want to make here, which Ian Miles Chong, which I'm embarrassed to be quoting that guy, but that he brought up about Tim Walz that I was unaware of, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I want to get your thoughts on this thing from Tim Walz that I was just like, who's just continually about racism. Listen to Tim Walz here talking about the Minnesota state flag.
When we do better, we all do better. And the idea is of working together, lifting all boats, it works. And so one vote majority continued to pass those things all the way down. The last one on the thing is we had a racist flag. So we had a racist flag. A new flag in Minnesota, and so we have a new flag in Minnesota. So it mattered when we do. So yeah, we got a new flag in Minnesota. New flag in Minnesota. All right, we should take a moment to sort of look at the Minnesota state flag. The Minnesota state flag. This is the new Minnesota state flag. This is the state flag of Minnesota. The color choice, I guess it's supposed to look like Minnesota. It looks like, I don't know what, I don't know. You know how it has like the same type of arrow shape that all the trans flags have? So a light blue field with a dark blue obtuse angular figure hoist bearing a white 8-pointed stars. Yeah, and people are pointing out that this kind of looks like the Somalia flag a little bit. You can see how the color scheme there certainly matches Somalia, a little star type of figure going on there. So I'm wondering, like, that's the Federal Republic of Somalia. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Liz. I'm with you. Hey, it's not the same flag. I want to see what was the old Minnesota flag. So is this one? How is that racist? What part of this is racist? That there are people working fields? I don't understand this. It even looks like he got white feet, so it's not like it's a slavery thing. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, I don't understand the point of the flag. "19 stars referencing Minnesota as the 19th state." I don't understand the picture. But how do you turn? It's like this is a guy who turns everything into being about race. So instead, he basically got them a modernized version of the Somalian state flag. Here was him when he was actually changing the flag.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
What are you doing, knucklehead? Okay, well,
Tim is replacing the Minnesota flag with the far superior Somali flag, I want to talk to you about an amazing business opportunity. Have you ever dreamed of making passive income from a daycare center, but you hate kids in America? Yeah, we all do. But now it is easier than ever to make millions of dollars on your very own chain of daycare centers, and you don't even need any children to attend. So visit coveredincome.com today to get your $4 million grant so you can open up your very own learning center. Is that supposed to say learning center? Doesn't matter. Who cares? Oh, welcome back, you silly man.
There, that's better.
I agree.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
There you go. There you go. Oh my God. Oh, that was funny. And some folks are pointing out, others are, folks are asking how is this whole thing happening here? Here's Minnesota's, this is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison saying the quiet part out loud during his congressional campaign. The Democrat plan all along was to import new voters, scatter them across the U.S., and give them citizenship and tax favors, and turn a blind eye to fraud so they can funnel our tax dollars to other Democrat candidates across the U.S. That's according to Libs of TikTok. Here's Keith Ellison.
The election is very important.
Yes, it is.
So can you tell us why the Somali communities are very important for the election?
Well, the Somali community is critical. In my own election, I wouldn't be in office without the help of the Somali community. Somali voters came out in very large numbers and were able to register people to vote. Very recently I think there was several thousand Somalis who were just naturalized as U.S. citizens. Yeah. Somalis can make a huge impact on this election. And I can tell you without a doubt, it's not just in Minnesota that Somalis make a big difference in the election. Also in Ohio, which is a battleground state. Somalis that are in Columbus, Ohio, and in Virginia, all have a role and opportunity to play a very big role in this election.
I don't think this one's AI. This is Keith Ellison admitting that, hey, we're bringing these Somalians in here so the Democrats can get elected.
And so I think many of us are counting on the Somali community to get involved, stay involved, but not just vote. Help others vote. On my campaign, we have tremendous leaders. For example, Hibu Isaac, who is a great leader, very articulate, very smart young lady, who is out gathering in Somali voters and other voters to get them to the polls. Also, we have Miriam, who's on our campaign, and others as well. So we believe that the Somali community plays a critical role, not just in Minnesota, but in Ohio and in Virginia. And so call your relatives out there so we can get them to the polls.
Wow. The election.
So that's him talking to, obviously, Somalian news reporter trying to basically talk about how, hey, we're bringing you on in here just so you'll vote for us. That's why we're bringing you on in here. And Elon Musk even shared out the fraud of taxpayer money is happening nationwide and is liberally applied to attract illegal and some legal immigrants who will reliably vote Democrat. He's sharing, wow, Ohio attorney Mehak Cook confirms massive fraud in Ohio around another hotbed for Somalis. They run fake home health and bill $250,000 per year per family when no work is actually being done. She also says this happens in Pennsylvania. Audit America, audit Ohio now. Let's check this out.
To report the fraud that was happening in Ohio, and then eventually came to me to say that we're watching providers rubber stamp paperwork for home health. So in Ohio, and there's many states like this, Pennsylvania and other states too, where you can go in and you can say my aging parent needs a home health care and I want to provide it. So the state will, as long as a doctor has approved it, continue to pay you. It could be for 10 hours, 12 hours, up to 24 when it's critical care. So you could sit at home without caring for an elderly parent who really doesn't need it, make about $75,000 to $90,000 a year. Now you add two parents, that's $180,000. Now you add your in-laws, $250,000. You continue to add this and you wonder, what are the services being provided? So a lot of providers came and said, fraud is occurring because we said we weren't going to rubber stamp this paperwork. So they went to other providers. Their home healthcare network saying, we'll make it worth your while. Well, sounds like a kickback to me. So we really need to investigate the Medicaid system and how much it's increased since the Somalian population came, and who really needs critical care, because that's meant for our disabled, our elderly, and people who really need it, not to just live off our system. And that's what's happening in Ohio. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's despicable. But authorities are now looking at it from the Attorney General's office to the U.S. Attorney's office. I flagged them all because this is Ohio tax dollars, and we have to take it seriously. I'm tired of people telling me, well, this is the way it's always been. It's subjective, and we can't really check. No, you can. Audit America, audit Ohio now. And I'm pushing for that in every single state.
Wow. Well said. Well said indeed. Mehek Cook. I never heard of her before, but well said. I never even heard the name Mehek in my life before. I think that, I'm fairly certain it's the first time I ever heard that name. I would have thought that was a man's name. So, yeah, I mean, we're all God's children. It was kind of Jesus' whole thing. Using the New Testament to support somehow white supremacy. Boo. Yeah, I think it's corrupting. It's probably, to me, I would think it's a corruption of the New Testament, but I'm getting the same vibe. Christianity is not white. Christianity is not a cudgel or a shield to hide behind. It's a gift available to all people. Yeah, that's most Christians I've heard from talk like that. Not like that guy. That guy was giving me a very creepy vibe. Joe, on their old flag, there are no Somalian representation. That's true. It's racist. What was I thinking? Why are we only showing a white farm worker? Why are we only showing that? It reminds me of a South Park episode, and I haven't seen many South Park episodes. The only time I get to see South Park is if I end up going to a hotel and I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'll like flip on a TV, and invariably Comedy Central has South Park on. And I remember I might have seen this as a clip where they were talking about their state flag being racist. Where basically, Chef was talking about how he was really angry about the state flag, saying that it was racist. I don't know if it's the state flag or the city flag, whatever flag that they had was racist, where it basically showed different people standing around a tree and a black man hanging from a tree. It was the most racist looking flag in the world. It really was. And the interesting point behind that episode was that they had that one of the kids at the end, I don't know, Eric or whoever. I think it was Eric's friend. I don't even know his name. You know his name? I don't know. Anyway, it was like, what's racist about it? And Chef explains he's like, what do you mean what's racist about it? Look at the flag. He's like, we don't see anything racist in this flag. And he said, yeah. He's like, they're hanging a black man. And it's like, oh. And they're like, oh, we never even noticed he was black. We just saw people of different colors. So they're different colored stick figures. And, so that, a blue stick figure or a red stick figure, a yellow stick figure, and a black stick figure. So like, we didn't even realize he was black. And that Chef is like humbled by this and thinks that's beautiful and like stops objecting to the flag. And this was made in response almost certainly to the whole Confederate flag thing. A brouhaha that was a big story 10, 12 years ago. But in order to find racism, you sort of need to start with that you're looking for racism. Oftentimes, that when you're seeing a symbol, you sort of almost have to be like trying to find it. And if it's not really in your face, which frankly that flag was kind of in your face, the stick figure flag was pretty funny concept to be for a flag. But a lot of times, like, children are going to be like innocent to it. They're like not even understanding why people are thinking that it's racist. Just DM'd you about Aki Tam app. I don't know what Aussie Mama DM me about. So let me see requests. Doing a quick check here. Not seeing anything from you. What's your account? Oh, yeah. I didn't recognize your name. I assume. I don't even know what this means. I'm building Anti-Fraud Co., a startup that files key TOMs against fraudsters on a repeatable basis with the help of Barclay David P., a former FTC attorney, and Haj Sharda, an author, lawyer, antitrust whiz. Ever since I was invited, I don't know who Alex Shia is. Ever since I was invited to testify for Congress at age 20 about millions of wasteful bloat at Brown, I uncovered through data mining. I realized the government just didn't have the bandwidth to stay on top of these things without the help of whistleblowers. The TAM here is huge, $500 billion per year, easily a huge market opportunity that can create multiple unicorns. I don't really understand these terms. Key TAM app. All right, maybe we'll watch a little bit.
My name's Alex Shea, and I'm a rising junior at Brown University, one of the most exclusive institutions in the world. But I'm not here to glorify the Ivy League. I'm here to warn you that the promise of American higher education, of opportunity through meritocracy, is under attack. I'm a legacy student at Brown. I went to a prep school that feeds to the Ivy League. My parents are doctors who can afford the $93,000 a year sticker price. In other words, I'm exactly who the Ivy League was built for.
$93,000 a year. $93,000 a year for an undergraduate school.
But what about the kids who weren't born on third base? Statistically speaking, for a smart kid from a poor family, an Ivy League degree can power their ascent to the upper income brackets better than anything else. That's the American dream. But today, that dream is now a luxury good. According to the New York Times, at Brown, the median student's family makes over $200,000 a year. Half the student body comes from the top 5% of earners. And research by Brown's own professor, John Friedman, shows that even equally qualified low-income students are vastly underrepresented. At this very moment, the American people are tightening their belts, and Brown is raising tuition to beyond $90,000 a year. And even while charging students the price of a luxury car, Brown is on track to run a $46 million deficit this year. Where's all the money going? I'll tell you where it's going. It's going into an empire of administrative bloat and bureaucracy. Brown employs 3,805 full-time non-instructional staff for just 7,229 undergrads. That's one administrator for every 2 students. This isn't education. This is bloat, paid for on the backs of students and families who are mortgaging their futures for a shot at a better life. Meanwhile, Grace Calhoun, Brown's athletic director, earns over $1 million. A household assistant on payroll tends to University President Christina Paxson. And when budget cuts are made, these expenses stay while the student experience deteriorates. My dorm floods when it rains, and the burger patties in our dining hall have been replaced by an unappetizing beef mushroom blend. The idea that Brown's administration can be streamlined isn't conjecture. We didn't used to have these many administrators. Across the nation, the number of university administrators has risen by 162% in recent decades. And it's no coincidence that correspondingly, the cost of education has risen 181% in inflation-adjusted dollars since the 90s. Across the pond, a world-class education at Oxford or Cambridge can cost about half as much as an Ivy League degree, in part due to a much lower administrative burden. The status quo has a real human cost. I recently...
What is Key Tom? That's what I want to know also. I don't know what they're talking about. Kitam is a legal mechanism that allows private individual known as relator or whistleblower to file a lawsuit on behalf of the government against entities or individuals defrauding the government. The term is short for the Latin phrase quitam pre domino rege com. This is com pro se ipso in hoc parte sequitur, meaning who sues on behalf of the king as well as for himself. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The whistleblower files a lawsuit in federal court under seal. The complaint and evidence are served to the Department of Justice, which investigates. The DOJ decides whether to intervene or decline. If the case succeeds, the government recovers funds. The whistleblower receives a share of the recovery. If the government intervenes, 15 to 25% of the recovered amount. If the government declines and the whistleblower proceeds alone, 25 to 30%. Oh, I like this. I like this idea a lot. Rewards are based on the value of the information provided and assistance given. There's no cap, and successful cases have yielded awards in tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. I like this idea a lot. Incentivize whistleblowers. You'll create a whole legal industry for whistleblowers. This is a very smart idea. This is a very, very smart idea. This is the fastest way to clear out fraud. You're basically incentivizing the nation to go after whistleblowers. Now, the problem, people will say, just off the top of my head, I can see how this could theoretically just explode litigation. But, you know, if you're going against universities or against, it would explode state litigation. The False Claims Act, U.S. 3729, federal law targeting fraud against the government, such as overbilling, submitting defense. So you can bring a False Claims Act, 31 U.S.C. 3729. Wow. Well done. Thanks, Ozzy Mama. It's bad here in Ojo and has been for a while. I remember working at Amazon 2018. All signs inside were in English, Somali, and Arabic. I assume that your keyboard spat out Ohio and made it Ojo. I assume you're in Ohio based on... Indians are happy not to be in the spotlight. So is the juice. Barnes Brook Jacobson lawsuit against Pfizer for the COVID vaccine is a key time case. Oh. There you go. Liz. Joe, my friend who is an ER doc in a hospital here in Columbus, Ohio, says the Somalians are really hard patients to deal with. Really, really hard. Demanding and mean, and very ungrateful. See, there's an interesting thing that you're sort of touching on here. There's an interesting thing, which is a line which there's no easy way to broach this topic, but you brought it up, so I'm gonna address this. I'm gonna address this now. See, on the one hand, folks from the left, here, there's no proper line to draw when you're dealing with a situation that you're implicitly dealing with here. Okay? Because I have no tolerance, and I want to be clear before I say this. Nothing I'm saying is accusing Liz of being racist. Because I don't think she is at all. So no one should take that during the course of what I'm saying here, that's where I'm going, because I'm not. But I want to be clear that a statement like this is a statement that can be both true and also be labeled as being racist, right? Where you're saying this community that, you know, the Somalians are very hard to deal with. And the reason that this arises in this sort of way is because there's there are cultural distinctions, especially when you're dealing with cultures that are reluctant to assimilate. The more reluctant they are, the more likely they are to have cultural mannerisms and cultural ways of dealing with people, which will seem foreign to the local populace. So what an American may deem as being brusque or rude might be something that's in a Somalian culture, and like we can remove Somalians from it in general. But, you know, in any culture, the way people interact with each other is going to be very different. The first time I heard about this in my life was when I was in 10th grade. So I was like 15 years old. And I remember that back then we used to take social studies. And Mr. Lowy, who was a scary individual, but he did like me. But he was a scary guy. So Lowy told us, shared with us that in Arabic culture, that when you're meeting someone, you're friends with them, they tend to be very close talkers in the characteristic way that, you know, you had the close talker episode of Seinfeld, those of you who are old enough to remember, where they basically always want to be in close proximity, and that's a sign of friendship. That's a sign of, I trust you, I like you, and I trust you. In a way that Americans never want to be within 18 inches of someone else's face, unless it's someone they have an intimate relationship with. So in Western culture, that level of proximity is something that you and I would be like, dude, back up. That's what we would be like. But in Middle Eastern culture, that's deemed, if that reaction is considered very rude, it's an act of hostility. So when you have cultures, and this is just one example of thousands of different ways that cultures will differ in the way they interact on a social level. So when you have a group of Somalians coming in, and I don't know if I've ever met a Somalian in my life, frankly. I probably have, but what I'm saying is I don't know anything about the Somalian culture. So when you're telling me, when Liz is saying here that, you know, she knows an ER doc who says that they're incredibly difficult patients to deal with, that could be a cultural thing. And that's just, you know, that's a reality. I don't doubt that it is. And yet at the same time, when you say it, people are like, well, you're racist. And it's like, well, no, I'm just not used to dealing with people like this. Maybe in Somalia, this sort of behavior, the way they talk to their doctors and you know, deal with people who are giving them medical care is something that's expected and normal. And it's a culturally accepted type of way of interacting, but that's not culturally acceptable here in America. So, and this is the problem that you're going to have whenever people are dealing with this shared geography between folks of different cultures, that the ones who are looking at the ones who have a foreign culture, and I'm not going to kid you that this applies even with, you know, Orthodox Jews, certainly in Hasidic circles where they try to, you know, keep themselves cloistered away, that when they're interacting with folks who are of a different culture, that there's going to be some sort of uncomfortability between the two cultures. That's part of the problem of like a real culture clash. Now, when you're dealing with folks who are dealing with it on a regular basis, and I don't think, you know, frankly, I don't think Hasidic Jews are particularly hard patients to deal with. Not that I'm in the medical industry, but I don't think they're any uniquely different. As an attorney who I've dealt with Hasidic clients, I don't think they're any different. But my point is that I was just identifying a culture, a group which shuns the idea of assimilation. So I definitely can see how there are distinctions in the way that they interact with each other, what they think is healthy way of of having social interaction, which just is going to lead to some level of uncomfortability. And that's going to lead to tribalism. And frankly, it also will often lead to racism. So the leftists will come at this and be like, you're racist. You're racist. Can't you just appreciate that some people are different? And from the other side of the aisle, it's like, well, this is just an uncomfortable thing. Don't tell me that it's not uncomfortable and I should pretend that I'm not uncomfortable with it because I am, because this guy's talking to me like he's a jerk. So, you know, I understand he's got his culture, but I got my culture and he's tromping all over my culture. So I totally get what your friend, the doctor, is feeling, Liz. And I also, so I sort of feel like I look at this from like looking down from like the mountain, and I'm like, I can really see both arguments here. I can see the argument. I think both sides have some sort of legitimacy, and I think that the interaction between the culture in certain ways is more likely to breed racism, where you have more of like that lunatic screaming about white Christianity being, let's get rid of the Muslims and only have white Christians here, which is an unfortunate type of outgrowth. It's an unfortunate type of outgrowth because then it's like in order to insulate and protect that which you hold dear, you're much more likely to become far more tribal into a racist type of direction. Where now this guy who might have had like no problem with like black people, all of a sudden sounds as if he doesn't like anyone who's not white. And maybe that emotion actually genuinely changes, where he really starts feeling that, no, you know what? If you're not white, get out. Because of this, because you're cramming together different cultures and forcing them to interact in ways that make them resentful of each other. It's an unfortunate reality. They say that the biggest animus is between folks who are of different origins, who are put in close proximity with each other, Chinese versus Japanese, Jew and Arab. That's where you see, like, there's warring, and that's because you have this culture clash meets on a regular basis. But now we're experiencing this in America, where it's like, it's not simply that people are coming in here, but they're brought in by the boatload. So all of a sudden, that makes it feel like it's an invasion. And it does breed, it is much more likely to breed racism. And again, I want to be 100% crystal clear here. I don't think Liz is at all racist. I'm simply saying that I can understand why people would say things which are going to start sounding like that. I don't think that this chat is racist. I mean, I think I can understand where people would interpret it that way. And it's an unfortunate reality that it is almost like, it almost feels as if you're being backed into a corner to become a racist. And that, and on a certain level, I sometimes wonder if that's actually part of the agenda. Like, it's part of the agenda to try and make Americans hate each other. Because a divided country is one that now all of a sudden creates much greater need for a politician who's on your side. And the more divided we are, the more animus and hatred we have, the more likely it is that you're going to turn to people on your side. That's why I accused Barack Obama of being the divider in chief. Because he basically was like, it's us against them. It's not Democrats versus Republicans. It's their evil. And that's going to that bred the kickback of, yeah, call me a racist. I don't really care because I'm tired of your stupid lip service. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. It's designed to create friction. And I think that's purposeful outcome that they're trying to get out of this. Yeah, it is. It's a divide and conquer, Marty. It's dividing control, because the more divided you are, the more you need me to help stand on your side for you. I had one clip earlier I showed you of daycare kids being dropped off. Like, that's a new outgrowth. Eric Dougherty shared this one. I meant to put these two together.
Order for the scheme to work, the daycare centers.
Now, this is in 2015. Oh, and this was the clip I was looking for. I don't know if you go back 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes, you're going to see me like looking for a clip, and I was just like, I know that this is something they knew about for like a decade, and they still allow it to fester. They still allow it to go on and on and on and on. And that's what makes this so horrific. This is from Shocking footage is resurfacing, catching Somalis dropping their kids off at a daycare for a few seconds just to leave with the child, letting the care center take money from the taxpayer for a full day. And the parents got kickbacks. This again, look at this. This is in 2015. Democrats knew all about this.
Need to sign up low-income families that qualify for child care assistance funding. These surveillance videos are from a case prosecuted by Hennepin County. They show parents checking their kids into a center only to leave with them a few minutes.
Hennepin County is in Minnesota. That's where all these problems are.
Minutes later, sometimes no children would show up. But either way, the center would bill the state for a full day of child care. This video from that same case shows a man handing out envelopes of what are believed to be kickback payments to parents who are in on the fraud.
Where was the money going? I don't know exactly where it went, but it.
Order for the scheme to work, the daycare center.
So that's my point. The reason I think this is significant is because this is reflective of how much foreknowledge Minnesota has had since before Tim Walz was even governor, that this is a problem in this community. And this shows such a willful disregard for your basic responsibility to be a caretaker of your state's funds, to be a representative and leader of your own people. That's how you know it's willful. The old phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. This guy getting fooled 4,000 times over and over and over again. That's not an accident. That's corruption. And then to try and shield himself by claiming, "Oh, you're racist," is asinine. It's insulting. Those of you who I shared with you earlier, Keith Ellison, and some of his comments about how this is all purposeful, that they want to do this. I shared this clip with you. I shared this clip with you where he was on Somali TV and he was proudly bragging about how we're bringing in Somalians so they can vote Democrat.
That are in Columbia or Columbus, Ohio, and in Virginia, all have a role, an opportunity to play a very big role in this election.
That's why they're bringing them on in here. That's Minnesota's State Attorney General Keith Ellison saying on Somalian TV what it is that they want from Somalians. Hey, we're bringing you in here for this purpose. Here's that scheme broken down a little bit more by Fox News.
Walz, Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House oversight investigation role in his role as governor, or Keith Ellison, the attorney general. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring. Ilhan Omar.
So so you want to know why it's happening? It's because these crooked folks are getting kickbacks. They're like, hey, we're getting kickbacks. Go out there and vote for us. Getting donations, getting votes. So it's never direct. You're not going to see a check from some Somalian directly to Keith Ellison. That's not going to happen. They're not stupid. But they know that the money is coming. I think this is the longest I ever spent on a single story that wasn't like a trial. But there's so much going on here that I had to break this down for you. Finally, there is some possible good news. Some possible good news. You guys want some good news? Possibly. I'll get that in a second. To be fair, 10 years ago was the QSEO fraud case. That's one case. What's the point? That's one case. Welfare politicians prefer to say yes to avoid being labeled heartless. Just hide the fraud, get labeled as a good person helping everyone. Yeah. But I got a couple of rants I got to get to. And thank you so long ago picture show for rating me. Very kindly, my friend. Breck Nicholas says, how about Durka Learning Center? I missed that earlier. The Durka Learning Center. That's pretty funny. Durka. Also, Uzelian says, Joe, I got that one. Uzelian says, I gave the time at the end of it, Joe. Start at 1523 to about 1940. Okay. That I can do. You did say that. I clicked it too fast. I apologize to you, brother.
Checkmated it. And
he sent me it twice, so I'm gonna cover this. It's only he wants me to watch 4 minutes of this. This is coverage from PBD. So let me cover this. Four minutes I can do. It's Vinny from PBD.
And then on top of that, there's a realtor in Minnesota that said, and I said Rob the clip, but I'll just say it, 450 houses in one area in Minnesota were bought in cash, turned into fake care centers, and then used to bill the state like clockwork, okay? Neighbors see no patients. All they see is luxury cars. Some of these places taking ex-cons without warning the community. So think about that. And by the way, a little fun fact, by law, realtors aren't even allowed to tell buyers what's happening in that situation, okay? The state sends monthly checks with zero, I'm gonna say that again, zero inspections, and most of the homes have few or no clients, but the cash keeps coming in. And then the fraud, Pat, this, you guys have to understand, this isn't just a couple of Somalis that just came here illegally and they're doing $9 billion worth of fraud. This, to me, goes up the freaking ladder. There is no way, Ilhan Omar, Patrick, there's no way Mrs. Pro-Somalia, another video came out of her saying, I can't wait, one of these days I'm gonna move back and live in Somalia with my child, that person who was so pro-Somalia and anti-America doesn't have an idea. Or Tim Walz, who has been silent. All of them are silent and they're trying to use that whole white supremacist racist. There's a clip of Tim Walz claiming that everybody is racist. There's another video, Pat, where he's sitting there and obviously it's a setup and he looks back and the old Minnesota flag is there.
That's
he
a comedy.
removes it and puts the new one that looks almost identical to the Somali flag. All right.
Well, that was an AI thing.
What else was I gonna say? There's a chart, Pat, that Rob has that I sent. The child and adult care centers in Minnesota maxing out donations to Somali candidates in Washington. Isn't that weird? What are child daycare centers donating to Democratic people in Washington? Isn't that weird? And Pat, I can't hear you guys right now, but I would like, yeah, look. Oh, isn't that weird? Sunshine Child Care Center. Isn't that a little weird? Isn't that weird? So what are they donating to?
Bernie,
Pat, I think this
is what?
lumps and chub it. Let me get out. I'm going to come right back in. Give me 1 second because I want to show you guys a video.
Okay, so Rob, can you do me a favor? This is, folks, if you're watching this, to me, I don't care about whether, I don't have ill intentions to Somalis or not. I don't care where you're from, what skin color, what ethnicity, what religion. The only thing I care about
is the fraud.
Is do you come in? Do you make the place better? Do you make the place safer? Do you create jobs for others? Do you love America? Do you go based on our values and principles that the founding fathers created?
Yep.
If you do, fantastic. You love America, great. But I want you to see this chart, Rob. I sent this text to you. Can you hide it real quick? Can you hide it real quick? Can you hide it real quick? Because I want to ask the audience first. If I were to ask you right now, Somalis that go to Minnesota, after having lived in America for 10 years, what percentage of them do you think still take welfare? Let me ask the question one more time. Somalis, after having lived in America, Minnesota, for 10 years, what percentage of them take welfare still after 10 years? Rob, can you pull this up now, please?
Which, by the way, you're not supposed to come here and be on welfare. You're not supposed. That's the sorry. That's that's not the way our government was set up. We're going to bring in welfare, needy people. So they shouldn't even be here after 1 year.
Watch this, folks. When you look at this chart, it shows the gray shows Somali immigrant households in Minnesota after 10 years. Look how many of them are still taking welfare.
Does that say 81%? What does that say?
78% of those who have been here more than 10 years.
Unbelievable.
So if some of the newer people that are here, okay, maybe a year, 6 months, 3 months, more than 10.
That doesn't, and the ones who aren't are committing fraud. That's what it feels like. It's like the other 22% of the ones who are getting fat and rich by stealing from the taxpayer.
Years, 78%. And if you look at native households in Minnesota, look what that number is, 21%. If you go to cash, 25, 27%. Food stamps, 48% of Somalian immigrant households in Minnesota after 10 years are taking food stamps. 68% are taking Medicaid. Are these programs built for other immigrants to come and take what you're paying the taxpayers? Are you okay with that? Because that's what's happening with this. So a lot of American people are sitting there saying, wait a minute, what the hell is going on over here? What are we talking about over here? These numbers just don't add up. Remember, for a second, forget about being a Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. Do you like these numbers? Do you like other people coming and taking advantage of the tax-paying money that you're putting in? 78% of them still relying on you to take care of them. Do you like
10
that
years
situation?
after they got here.
This is why so many people are upset. Rob, do you have 1 or 2 videos for some of the people that haven't seen it on what's going on in Minnesota? And then Tom and Adam, I'm going to come to you guys next.
It's a great clip. Thank you, Azelian. It's a really great clip. Great job. Uzelian comes through again. Woodtick Mike says, more of a glow from the white Christian guy. I want our old flag back. Oh, you're saying he's a glowy? Maybe. Maybe. I hope so. Duck Fat. Bijan 4 rounds too early. Robin sends me a $20 super chat. Bijan 4 rounds too early. Robinson just gave me the biggest comeback in fantasy football league history. Maybe it's not, but yeah, that's pretty good. Duck wins. Good logic. Super Bowl. Quackity. New tracksuits for everyone. Well, congratulations to Duck Fat. He was losing by 37 points. 37 points. That's right. Now, I will point out to you that this just makes you the coward instead of the she, her of this Super Bowl. I'm embarrassed to admit, but I'm going to admit it right now, and hopefully this will cull future participants in the Good Logic Fantasy Football League from mirroring the shameful act that I saw in this year's Super Bowl. And that is that the 2 participants in the Super Bowl who are sharing a pot of $900, 900 smackers. And we're supposed to be divided, set up by our league rules of being divided 600, 300, decided before the game that they were going to split it 450, 450. Which I do not like. I understand times are tight. If they had done 500, 400, I would have said nothing. But to make the game completely meaningless on a financial end, it's just kind of disrespectful. It is. It's kind of disrespectful. You're making like, I don't really care who wins. I don't like it. That's one way to look at it. I guess you could look at it as like, no, it's all about I need to win the title and the money is secondary. I guess you can look at it that way. I choose not to. So let me make this clear. So I told them beforehand that basically what they're trying to do here is they're saying we're both winners. They're both winners, which is like, 2 people going into a beauty contest. And one of them is, an attractive woman and the other is Dylan Mulvaney. And we're saying we're both beautiful, which is just not reality. So I said, whoever comes in second, you become the Dylan Mulvaney here. And it's like, oh yeah, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so wonderful. Aren't you? Oh, you're gorgeous, stunning, brave. The winner is a coward because you just gave up $150 for no reason other than you were afraid. So, congratulations, Duck Fat, on a objectively impressive come from behind victory. That's very, very, very impressive. Good fortune you had that Bijan managed to pull you out. And to the loser, who's probably not watching right now, but yeah, congrats on becoming the she her, or I mean, yeah, the she her of the league. Anyway, and yes, I'll take care of your money. I expect to take care of your money before the ball drops on New Year's. So within the next 48 hours, you'll have the money. Probably, maybe even later tonight, if I remember. Send them all the miscreants on a Spud says, send them all the miscreants on a ginormous Chinese container ship back to Somalia and tell them it's a Disney cruise. Participation trophy, good logic. It's shameful. Yes, they did the same thing last year. I wasn't happy about it last year either. I didn't make as much of a deal about it, but if I see it starting to become a pattern, then I'm going to be like, I have to say something, Duck Fat. But congratulations. All kidding aside, it's a cool thing to win a fantasy football league, and you put together a great team. So God bless. I don't think I ever called Bijan Robinson 4 rounds early. Bijan, he's good. He's a good running back. When I saw him bust that 93-yard touchdown run right before I went live, I was like, oh, there's going to be a comeback here. There's going to be a comeback here. I did not miss your... I don't think I missed it. I thought I pulled it up, but I will. I apologize to you, Kimmy. I apologize about Bondi versus Bonds. I saw that when I was talking. You brought up about Aki Tam. I apologize to you for that. Barnes' case with Brooke Jackson versus Pfizer is a key Tom case. Bondi is continuing Garland's attempt to intervene. You see, Kimmy, God bless you. You're awesome because you helped me segue. Because I finally, 2 hours and 51 minutes into the show, can get to the second story that I plan on covering tonight. You helped me segue. You just like a minute early because there was one more thing I wanted to cover, just to put a little bow on this story for tonight. So I do want to get to Pam Bondi in just a moment. So I'm going to save your super chat to bring it back up. I think that might have been why my brain, I was like, let me save that for my segue. So I think that's what happened. But at least I can legitimately make that claim that might have processed through my brain at some point. Gunther Eagleman saying, breaking, Minnesota GOP lawmakers are drafting impeachment articles against radical leftist Governor Tim Walz after explosive exposure of billions in rampant Somali fraud by whistleblower Nick Shirley. Enough is enough. Hold him accountable now. Representative Kristen Robbins drops truth bombs. Tim Walz has turned a blind eye for 7 years straight. So this is potentially good news. I don't know if they're going to have any success because they'll all circle the wagons around him because Democrats are a bunch of cucks. But
weeks ago, I just think absolutely. I called for the governor to resign several weeks ago. I just think his dereliction of duty is unconscionable. These whistleblowers have been sounding the alarm for years. We've had hearings for almost a year now, holding his agencies accountable. He's not fired anyone. He's not taken steps to stop the fraud on the front end, and he continues to make excuses. So I would absolutely want him to resign, as I said weeks ago, or I know others are looking at articles of impeachment, but he is responsible. He has turned a blind eye for 7 years, and we need to clean house in the executive branch.
And I know, Representative, you're running for governor as well to unseat him. Many of us are left with many questions about this. He was almost the vice president of the United States, and we see billions of dollars under his nose that were just wasted. What would that look like on the national level if he was the vice president of the United States?
Oh, it would be terrible. I'm so grateful that President Trump led the DOGE effort to clean up the federal government, and we need to continue to work to clean up the state government.
Yeah, so he may be in trouble. He may be in trouble. Is he actually going to be impeached? You know how hard that is to actually get a conviction of impeachment. But yeah.
Absolutely.
He is fully responsible, and the guy should go. He should go. Frankly, he should face federal charges. That level of fraud, at a certain level, there's got to be like just gross negligence to the point that you're complicit. Kimmy brought up this whole Barnes case with Brooke Jackson and the Bondi's continuing Garland's attempt to intervene. This is I did mention that I wanted to cover Pam Bondi. So I'm not sure what your reference is to Bondi's continuing Garland's attempt to intervene. But I guess you mean take the case over from Barnes. He doesn't want to give it up. I assume that's what you mean. But this is Pam Bondi, who has faced much earned scorn from most MAGA for basically spending the first year in the AG's office without delivering on many of the promises that we all felt were being made to us about holding some of the chief Democrats accountable for their neglect, for the corruption and self-dealing, Crossfire Hurricane, Barack Obama. You can list countless Democrats who should have been facing the music by now. And I was one who basically, recognizing that building a case takes some time, I said, let's give her 9 months. Well, we're past the 9 months, and I'm out of patience with Pam Bondi personally. I'm in the same camp you're in. The woman's got to go. She's got to go. Time is for me. The clock has long passed. It didn't just strike 12. We're like at 2 a.m. here, and this lawyer is a pumpkin. So, I mean, seriously, no actual real prosecutions about some of the main cases. The whole Epstein debacle should have been a fireable offense. Just one humiliation after another. She looks as uncomfortable in front of a camera as a Somalian being asked about a daycare center. It's like, and what do we get? Why? What is she doing? What the heck is she doing? There certainly seems to be certain levels of chaos going on in the DOJ. And, Dan Bongino doesn't want to be there anymore. That's not a good sign. That's not a sign of harmony. And frankly, finally, Donald Trump seems to be having enough. As he sent on True Social, Pam, I reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia in a really bad Republican past. A woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why 2 of the worst Democrat senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him. And there's a great case. And many layers and legal pundits say so. This is talking about the attorney general from Virginia who didn't want to prosecute Letitia James or Comey. There's a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. So this gives people hope that Donald Trump is actually lighting a fire under Pam Bondi. You would think that a more significant fire might come from a direct conversation, but I guess he wants to signal to the American people that he is pushing her and that he's not going to just be blindly accepting whatever Pam Bondi ends up saying and doing. And the upshot of that perhaps is Pam Bondi maybe getting off her butt and doing something. Yeah, I know. You can knock me over with a feather also. Attorney General Pam Bondi directs DOJ to investigate Obama-Biden era lawfare's ongoing criminal conspiracy. Okay. This is exactly what lawyers have been saying for a long time. You have an ongoing criminal conspiracy and get past the statute of limitations problem. Attorney General Pam Bondi has confirmed that the Department of Justice is actively probing what she describes as a decade-long pattern of government weaponization and lawfare under the Obama and Biden administrations. Bondi, this is exactly what I wanted to hear from you 6 months ago. I wanted to hear this from you when Tulsi Gabbard, I wanted you to be taking the stand, right, taking that pulpit right after Tulsi Gabbard stepped down. You should have been saying this. What was that, July? That's what you should have been saying in July. That's what we should have been getting. This happened before. Just you want to know how long ago Tulsi Gabbard came out and pointed about, they said we found on the burn bags and how they all this fraud that Obama ended up engaging in here to try and find some way to derail Trump's first administration before he left office and start this whole Russia hoax. And that entire lie that he foisted upon the American public that we still hear about from the left to this day. So we heard about that before. We heard about this a week or two after Kash Patel came out and was talking about how Epstein really killed himself. A week or two. I remember because it was only after Tulsi Gabbard came out. I mean, how long ago was that? That was the beginning of the summer. Because it was only after Tulsi came out that all of a sudden the left started caring about Epstein. They didn't care about Epstein for the first week or two. MAGA was going nuts at Kash and Dan Bongino, and I couldn't believe and understand why it is that the left didn't want to hear anything about Epstein unless they were trying to cover up for their, Democrat friends who they were afraid were going to be embroiled in that whole scandal. So yeah, I basically and then once the sacred cow Obama was potentially in crosshairs, all of a sudden they woke up to it. But we're talking that was like a week or two after Kash Patel came out and did that embarrassing, probably the most embarrassing moment of his life. So Bondi has directed U.S. attorneys and federal agents to treat these actions as an ongoing criminal conspiracy, potentially allowing prosecutors to bypass statutes of limitations, hold high-ranking officials accountable for alleged election interference and civil rights violations. Election interference and civil rights violations? What about civil rights violations? What about interfering with the Trump administration? Bondi confirmed the investigation orders in an interview with Just the News, calling the alleged abuses a 10-year stain on the country committed by high-ranking officials against the American people. Quote, at my direction, our U.S. attorneys and federal agents are actively investigating instances of government weaponization nationwide, Bondi told the outlet. This is a 10-year stain on the country committed by high-ranking officials against the American people. She emphasized that the probe focuses on evidence showing the FBI and DOJ shielded Democrats like Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton from scrutiny, while aggressively targeting conservatives and President Donald Trump with excessive legal actions. See, no one cares about Hunter Biden. No one cares about him. Unless it actually is going to get Joe Biden for his influence peddling. How about that? How about all the influence peddling? How about what he did with Burisma? And firing Viktor Shokin. How about that? This evidence illustrates that the FBI shielded political figures like Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton while pursuing conservatives for their beliefs, using legal process and operations that were excessive instead of protecting Americans from public safety threats posed by an open border and violent crime, she said. I have no faith in her. I have no faith in her. Selective prosecution is a loser. That's a loser case, and that's what it sounds like she's going for here. Selective prosecution? You're a loser. That's a loser case. No, I'm sorry. This doesn't buy any extension of my leash for her. Bondi added they went so far as to serve warrants that their own department and law enforcement officials believed were excessive. So you want to say it's a civil rights violation against Trump because they did the raid in Mar-a-Lago? Maybe? That sounds like a really tough case. Do I think they violate Trump's civil rights? Yes. I think there's a lot more other grounds that are far more concrete as to what they did wrong. Bondi praised the Trump administration's DOJ and FBI for releasing an unprecedented number of documents to Congress about government weaponization, which she claims has laid the predicate for a conspiracy case. Well, why the hell? When is this happening? A significant portion of the investigation is reportedly being conducted in Florida, tied to the controversial 2022 FBI raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Quote, this DOJ takes government weaponization seriously. That means protecting civil libertarians, preventing election interference, and holding bad actors accountable. Bondi said no one's above the law, even if they think they are. Oh. FBI Director Kash Patel has supported. I thought I was understanding what you were talking about here with attempt to intervene. I'm not sure. FBI Director Patel has supported framing these issues as an ongoing conspiracy, drawing parallels to organized crime cases where statutes of limitations don't apply if the conspiracy continues. Just the News editor-in-chief John Solomon noted that charging under criminal conspiracy could enable prosecutions for actions dating back years, including the origins of the Russian collusion investigation. Not just John Solomon, but Joe Neerman also, much more significantly than John Solomon. I have no disrespect for John Solomon. I'm just saying that's what Joe Neerman said a long time ago. I know it's not third person Thursday, but I missed it. The announcement comes amid broader efforts by the Trump administration to address abuses of power by previous Democrat administrations. So the reason I think this could be happening now is because of what Trump wrote here. I think Trump is pushing Pam Bondi, and she's trying to make it look as if something's happening. But I have very little faith in her. What has she done to inspire faith? What has she done? What has she done to inspire faith? Nothing. Nothing. But I think that she's going to try and make it look like she's doing something. Or take the case over from Barnes and dismiss the case. That's what Barnes thinks he wants to do with Pfizer. Possibly. I don't think she's MAGA. I think that she's potentially a globalist. She's trying to block the suit against Pfizer. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. I think it's getting time for me to start thinking about landing my plane. Listen, I'm duck fat. You're telling me how you you were afraid I wouldn't bring you back if you didn't and offer to split the pot. If I wanted, think about this, brother. Think about this for a second. I set the rules. If I wanted the pot split, I just wouldn't have made that the rule. I made the rules, right? So why would I not invite you back? Right? You're gonna take some ribbon. Take some ribbon. Congratulations. It is a cool thing to win. It is a very cool thing to win. So, and it's hard. It's hard. You got to really know what the hell you're doing if you're gonna be successful in a good logic fantasy football league. So, I'm gonna close tonight's show with tonight's show with three thoughts. First is, don't touch that lab meat, because it was never made for you. It was made for they, them. Definitely not made for you. And all hail duck fat. All hail duck fat. All hail duck fat. Who I think I said I was going to label the cowardly lion. But I still think that you did a phenomenal job this year. You beat me at least once, I know. So, yeah. Great job. Congratulations. Awesome. See, this is me taking my own advice. When someone beats you, you tip the cap. That's where we started the show. That's where we're wrapping up. Oh, that's not where we wrap up. We wrap up with, do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. Have a good night, everyone. And as always, Godspeed.